This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sunset Safari, and of course a big welcome to Grady Brown Elementary, who'll be joining us for the first 45 minutes of the show. Now, I'm very excited to have you all join. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is David, and we're hoping to answer all the questions that you want to know about Africa and all its wonderfulness, if that is even a word. Now, if you want to ask any questions, all you have to do is just ask your teacher, and then she will ask the directors, and then they will tell us. See? Amazing, the little cycle that we've got on. So what we're going to be looking for today is anything, and I'm really actually hoping to try and find some butterflies, because it's been such a hot day here in the Sabi Sand in South Africa, and I thought, well, there are lots of flowers around, so hopefully we're going to see some of those butterflies and maybe some cool insects sitting on some of those plants. Otherwise, we'll be checking watering holes too, because we could find insects there. They need to drink as well. But maybe some elephants, some hippos, maybe a impala, which is a type of antelope. I'm not sure what we're going to see on the safari. But it seems as though my friend Steve has already found the first animal for the afternoon, and it's the biggest one that lives on the land.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. We have found ourselves an elephant. Not the biggest elephant around, but there is a small group of them off to our right-hand side, and they are busy feeding. There's another one just here. It's about to come into the gap. That is a beautiful female elephant, and she is quite relaxed. You can see by the eye. The eye is very soft. The eyelashes are quite low down. When I say soft, if it was open wide and glaring, that would be called a hard eye. And her eye is very soft, which means she's very relaxed. And she's going to walk right up to the vehicle now. She's busy feeding. She is selecting all of the beautiful little forbs. Hello, Mama. She is gorgeous. Sorry about that. I got in the shot. That's how close the elephants are to the vehicle. And she is a beautiful female, and this looks to me to be a small breeding herd. And on that note, my name is Steve Falconbridge. Welcome to another episode of Safari Live with myself, and Seb is on the camera. And we are out this afternoon with a friend of ours as well by the name of Maurice, which is a drone, and Seb is a Gabonese Air Force pilot. He is going to be flying the drone in the sky at some point this afternoon to give you some aerial photos or videos of how green the area is compared to a few weeks ago or a month ago. Because those of you who were watching back then will know how dry Djuma was. And we're in the rainy months, and it is looking much better. And individuals like this are really, really, really enjoying the green vegetation. That is a young bull, I will think, and it's busy following mother down into the drainage line, the little river depression. Please feel free to send through your comments via your teacher. Let us know what you'd like to see this afternoon. So elephants like to cool themselves down, and Mason has made a good comment. Is it covered in mud or water? And what these elephants have been doing is splashing a little bit of mud on themselves to cool themselves down. We'll have another look. It's possible that... Oh, he has just trumpeted at the bird. What a fearsome fellow you are. There he goes. There was a starling on the floor there. And this young elephant decided it was a threat, and it chased it away. We just missed it. But Mason, it does look like it's more water than mud, but there are lots of little mud wallows in and around the area from the rain that we've had, and the elephants have quite enjoyed splashing that up onto themselves. It's good for cooling themselves down. It keeps the biting flies away, and it also suffocates any ticks that might be on the body. Then the elephant's favorite trick after mud wallowing is to go up to a big tree. I'll try and find you an example of that and give a big scratch, because they don't have fingernails and fingers like we do. They've got to use the environment. But let's see if we can get a bit further up and follow up on this female. It just seemed to be her and her young calf, which is quite surprising, but we have got these two elephants. We're going to try and find another visual or get another look of them for you. And while we do so, Taylor has managed to come out with her own elephants.
Just got one though, and I think we might find some more, because this elephant that we're looking at is a boy, and he's all on his own, which is normal. But I wonder if he isn't. Is it a boy? No, I don't know. Looks like it. It'd be unusual to have just one cow on its own, but it's hiding behind all the thick vegetation. Now, normally the boys have got rounded heads, and the girls have got fairly square heads. No, it is a boy. It's definitely a boy. But is it? I don't know. I can't see. Come out! Come out of the bushes! Oh no, I'm mistaken. Am I? Oh, I'm horribly mistaken. It is a girl. Sorry, everybody. I was wondering. She's got quite a big, bulky body for... Oh, look. David, there's a tiny baby elephant. Tiny little baby elephant. Maybe that's why she is on her own. It's because she's maybe recently given birth. That is so small. Let's see how well it's walking. It is the tiniest little thing. Come on. You can do it. Look at it. Still wobbly on its feet. Well, that would make sense as to why this girl is on her own and why I thought it was a boy initially. It's because when elephants do give birth, sometimes they fall behind the herd. Oh, I only think that's a few hours old. Look, it can barely even walk. Wow, you are all very, very, very lucky. Look. Oh, shame, it's so cute. Now, when little elephants are born, can you believe they can weigh anywhere between, I would say, 100 to 150 pounds? That's massive, don't you think, for a brand new born animal? You think of when we are born, we only weigh a couple of pounds. That's incredible. Now, we're looking at this elephant, and we've discovered that she's got a new baby. We'll try and get a better view. I think, actually, David, should we go around and wait at the watering hole? Maybe we do that. And then, while we do that, Orlando, you were asking, how do we know how old an elephant is? Well, Orlando, it takes a little bit of practice, I'm afraid. But you can look for their tusks. So if they're young elephants, normally their tusks start poking through at about 2.5 years old or so. Some are late bloomers, some take a little bit longer than others. And then it's just watching elephants and looking at how they can use their trunks. So if we're looking at young elephants, it takes them also a couple of years to learn how to use their trunks. This is so precious. And then the bigger elephants, it becomes quite difficult. Then you might have to see how many calves mom has, and you can try and work out how old she is from that. They normally start having their calves anywhere between 12 and 15 years old for the first time, and then they have a calf every 4 to 5 years. So if you're good at maths, you could probably work it out. But this is so incredible. That is really, really a very, very young elephant. And shame, it's a very hot day today. It looks like Mom has actually helped it though, maybe covered it with some mud, maybe some water to help keep it nice and cool as well. And she's trying to have a little suckle now. I'm hoping that Mom comes up and has a drink of water. It'll be interesting to see what this little one does. This little one doesn't need to worry about drinking water though. It'll be getting all the nutrients and it will stay nice and hydrated as long as it keeps suckling, so as long as it keeps drinking milk. Look, desperately trying to keep up. Hello, big girl. Now, because Mom has got a new baby, we need to be respectful of her, and we need to make sure that we give her some room. She's fine now. She's just sussing us out, but if she shows us that she's unhappy with us, we're probably going to move away. Hey, big girl. We just want to watch you. Now, if you're wondering why am I talking to the wild animals, elephants are very clever. Very, very clever. Oh, I can hear the rest of the herd in the distance. They just did a big trumpet. And they can understand tone, and they can hear very, very well, which Leah was just wondering too. But yes, Leah, they've got exceptionally good hearing and very, very good sense of smell, and also relatively good eyesight. It's not too bad. Let's see what she's going to do. That is very small. Really, I hope you're all as excited as David and I are, because you don't get to see a brand new elephant like this every single day. And I think she might slowly be trying to make her way, whoops, careful, make her way back towards the rest of the herd. It's almost like that little elephant has just come off a ship. It's got his sea legs on. Can't stand quite well just yet, but it will get there. It'll take it maybe a day or two before it's very comfortable on its legs. See, look, it's still just trying to go front, left leg forward, back one forward, and then the other leg, and the other leg. It's so cute. Careful, don't worry, Mom won't leave you behind. Take your time. Very wobbly. And it's been a very hot day for this little elephant too, so I'm sure it's tired, but Mom won't go too far. If the little one needs to sit down, lay down, have a break, that's fine. Mom will just stand there and actually try and cast her shadow over the little one so that it doesn't get hot in the sun. So Mom acts like an umbrella sometimes too. Right. Well, we're sitting in front of a mud wallow over here, and hopefully I won't fall in it. Steve is doing the same thing. Perhaps he's going to go for a bit of a swim.
No, I will not. I've told Seb that if I get inside there, I will not get out again. Without Seb is begging me to climb inside, but I have a feeling if I got in there, I would not get out again. So here we have a typical mud wallow that is used by warthogs, buffalo, and specifically elephants. And in this case, the elephants were wallowing. And it's quite funny to see. I saw a herd of about 15 elephants wallowing in something probably twice as big as this up in the Maasai Mara. It was unbelievable to see. It was just so much fun. How much fun they seem to have covering themselves in the mud. And they rub themselves on the bank here as well. And you can actually see where it climbed out over here. There are some tracks on the floor. Some tracks here where the mud was on the elephant's foot. And then he stood there again, stood there again, stood there again. So definitely elephant was here, and all this splashing is where they pick up the mud and they throw it onto their body. I'm not going to demonstrate now because I'm going to get very, very dirty. And just to prove that the elephants have been here, apart from the tracks, we've got some marvelous elephant dung. And I must just be careful because those two elephants just disappeared behind the bushes there. We are on foot, so we have to keep our ears open. So if I open this up, ooh, it's still green inside. And there is the fruit of a marula. They normally smell quite sweet, but inside the elephant dung, it's feeling quite strong. Lou, sorry, can you go that question again, please? There is some bark that the elephants feed on. There's lots of grass, and there's a seed from the marula as well. And Josh would like to know why the elephant's tusks look dirty and grey. Some of it's got to do with mud wallowing, but a lot of it's got to do with feeding. To get bark, where was that bark here? To get sticks like this off of trees, the elephants will stick their tusk into the bark itself and rip off the branches, rip off the bark. The bark sometimes has got a lot of sap, a lot of juice, a lot of liquid that often will stay in the elephant's tusks. Up in the Maasai Mara, when you look at the elephants there, the tusks are beautiful, clean, white, because they don't feed on as many branches and bark from trees. So once the elephant has done his little mud wallow, this is not the best example, but we're just going to go over here to a small rubbing post. You often find these in and around small mud wallows, and the elephant will come up against a big branch like this, and there's actually evidence on the side here of where the elephant has been rubbing itself. The back is all the way up there, and then there's more rubbing just over here, and this, I would say, is from a buffalo. So elephants are the largest land mammals in the world, and the African elephant can get up to about 11 to 12,000 pounds. Almost 13,000 pounds. That is very big animal. Over 4.2 meters at the shoulder. So that's about 13 feet. That is a big animal. That is a very big animal, Mason. So they are the largest land mammals in the world, the African elephant. And they are definitely one of my favorites. Okay, so there we've shown you a little bit about the mud wallowing. A little bit about elephant dung. We've seen some elephants, which is fantastic. I believe Taylor is sitting with a really young elephant. How amazing is that? I'm back in the car just in time. My good friend Scott Dyson, who is very brave, he is out with Herbie and Senzo, and they're on foot looking for a leopard.
Hello everyone. Yes, we are on foot and we are looking for a leopard, specifically a female leopard who's got a young cub that's only 4 months old. It's incredibly cute and I'm hoping that we manage to get lucky and find it. Now, it's not easy to see, but if you come here and take a closer look, you may be able to make out the kind of toe prints over there in front and the back pad over here of a leopard. It's very difficult, and the reason why it's difficult to see the track now is because it's cloudy at the moment. There's no sun shining on the track, and therefore you can't really see any shadows where the toes and the pad have pressed into the sand. So difficult to see. And what's interesting is we've got one set of tracks heading down the road, and then another set of tracks of the same leopard heading back up. Now, we're not too sure why she may have gone in one direction and come back, but we're guessing that maybe she went over there to do some hunting, maybe she was successful, and now she's come back on the same pathway towards where she may have left her cub hidden away. Now, what she does is she leaves her cub hidden away in the grass or in the bushes when she's off hunting, because the young cub is so playful and it just wants to jump on her back and play with her all the time that it'll get in the way when it's time for hunting. And other animals will detect, obviously, the little cub and her mother before her mother has a chance of catching them. So that's why she leaves the cub alone when she's off hunting. And we think the fresher sets of tracks are the one going back up this road. So we're just going to keep moving along slowly. And it's important to move slowly when you're on a bushwalk because it is a lot more dangerous than being in the vehicles. Animals get scared of us when we're on foot because we're moving quietly. They can't hear us coming like they can with Steve and Taylor in the vehicles. So I've got a funny little tool here that I like to use to also help keep me safe. It's an old sock and it's filled with campfire ash. And you see that? It helps us tell which way the wind's blowing. And it's very, very important because animals have got a great sense of smell, far better than us. The only thing we as humans can really smell easily is KFC. But the animals are far better than us at smelling. Their hearing's also very good and their sight. So this is a very, very useful tool when sneaking around in the bush. And we're going to continue to sneak about and hopefully find you this leopard. And while we do that, we're going to send you back to Steve.
Scotty, be safe out there, my friend, and it'd be wonderful if you are able to find surprise that Tundi has often got. So Taylor talked to me on the radio there. We're trying to communicate to see exactly how we're going to help Scott out this afternoon. So, Taylor, if you welcome to go through and help Scotty out. I'm going to go and check Nyala Road. I've got a feeling about Nyala Road, and then head up towards Buffelshoek Dam in the north, and maybe we'll get some elephants swimming. I know we tracked some lions to the north this morning, and they were found just north of our boundary at a small dam north of us, and that would be nice if they decided to come in and play. We found ourselves a very small antelope here. Not that it itself is a small antelope, but it is one of the small antelopes, but this is a fully grown male impala. You see he's got horns. Okay, so we're going to go back to Thunder quickly with the snake.
I don't know, are we live? I didn't understand that. Cool, hello everybody. Sorry, we have a black mamba that just quickly went across the road. No, I don't know where it's gone, but it's gone into this thicket. Shoot, it wasn't a massive one. It was maybe about 1.5 meters or so. They can get much bigger than that. That's one of the most venomous snakes in Africa, but I don't know if we're going to get a view. They're quite scared. I'm just waiting to see if I can see any grass moving around, to see where it's going to come out. Let me go back. It was very cool Wow, very lucky to see a snake. It's the first mamba I've seen since, well, for a very long time, in fact. Let me go back. I don't want to get too close to it anyways, because they can be aggressive, although this one seemed to be moving away. It didn't want to have anything to do with us. I don't blame it. No, I think it is gone for good, I'm afraid. Hiding away in the thicket. So all up in here is where the snake went. Sure. I don't even have a picture to show you what it looks like, but it's almost like grayish brown, a little bit black in color. An interesting color, in fact. Oh, man. Oh, that was very cool. Sorry I didn't get to show you. It all happened so quickly. And they move very, very quickly, those snakes. A lot of the snakes don't want to be out in the open because things are going to eat them. Might find a big bird coming down to try and catch it. Wow, maybe we get lucky and see some more. I was saying this morning that because it is so hot, we might have a chance of seeing a couple of reptiles. Maybe that won't be the last one. I hope I can find my favorite snake. I haven't seen one in ages. That's a puff adder. That's a really cool one. Hello, waterbuck. There's a beautiful antelope. This is a waterbuck bull. Still looks quite young. Doesn't seem to be too big just yet. I've seen much bigger waterbuck bulls in this area before. The girls, the reason why I know that it's a boy, if you're wondering, is because he's got horns. The girls don't have horns of this species. They're a big boy. Louise, are you still there? Sorry, I'm just worried about comms and things like that. Now, Sienna, you're wondering if a black mamba could kill an elephant. Probably not. I think a black mamba would move out of the way of an elephant. It's a massive, massive, massive animal, and it's also got very, very thick skin. So whether a black mamba would be able to penetrate through the skin of a elephant, I'm not so sure. Let's carry on, see what else we can find. Just having a quick look around here. I think I need to check in the trees today for leopards. It would be a nice spot to sit up in the tree. We've got to look carefully on the ground, on the termite mounds, up in the tops of the trees where it's nice and shady. Could also see some cool birds up there too. Maybe there'll be some elephants down in the river or the dry riverbed. We'll go and check there in a little bit. Cool. Well, we're going to keep looking for animals and hopefully we'll find some wonderful things to show you. Steve is also looking for all sorts of animals far and wide. Let's go see where he's headed to next.
Thank you very much, Taylor. What an amazing sighting. Black mamba almost makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. We are looking for more elephants and maybe some buffalo. Always a leopard would be nice, and the clouds are coming in at the moment and they're starting to cool down, become quite a nice fresh afternoon. Shortly, Seb is going to be jumping off and setting free our drone to give us some wonderful pictures from the sky. So when you leave us, we'll be setting that up, and then when you come back, you'll be able to see what Djuma looks like from very, very high in the sky. How high do you get, Seb?
Usually fly around 30, 40 meters high, but I can
30, 40 meters. So
150 meters high.
Sure, he can get up to about 300 and something feet, boys and girls, if he needs to. That is an amazing distance. Okay, so we're going to go back to Scotty D, who's on foot and has a very special surprise for you.
We do have a surprise, and it's a big thanks to these antelope called kudu, because we heard them alarm calling. You can see they're looking very alert. They use their big ears to help them hear animals, and they also use their incredible eyesight to spot predators. And like I say, when they see a predator, they make a noise like a dog barking. Pow! Pow! And while we were walking, we heard that call, so we jumped back onto the vehicle and rushed into this position. And we've got very, very lucky. If you look over my shoulder in the trees, you may see something that should make you very, very excited. Can you see it? It's a leopard. And this is Tundi. And she is the female leopard we were hoping to find you. And I'm sure it won't take too long before we get to see her cute little cub. It looks like her belly is quite full. I'm fairly certain she's got a kill somewhere in this area, so she'll have some meat nearby. And I'm so happy that we found her again. And what we're going to do is, because we don't have the right equipment to film here properly, we're going to call Taylor here so that she can take over the sighting. So she needs to come into this area where we last had the tracks this morning. It's incredible. We walked all through this area, well, at least Taylor did, with Herbie, our expert tracker, and the grass is just so long that she was hiding from us and we didn't see her. But now that she was up in the tree, together with the help from the kudus, we've managed to find her. Now, leopards are very, very good at hiding. And Riley, you would like to know if they prefer to sleep up in the trees or on the ground. And it all depends, really. Each leopard is different, just like us as humans. They all have their own different personalities. And also, importantly, the weather makes a big difference. On a hot, hot day like today, at this time of the year, when there's so much thick grass on the ground that acts like a blanket, what can happen is the leopard may climb up into the tree where hopefully they get a bit more of a breeze from the wind blowing and they're not in that thick blanket of grass. So I'm guessing that's why she's up the tree now, to try and catch the breeze. It's probably not as comfortable as being on the ground, but at least it's cooler. And especially with a full belly, which it definitely looks like she has, I'm sure she's going to want to come down and relax on the ground as soon as it does become a little bit cooler. It even looks like now she's thinking about possibly moving. Mason, you ask a good question. You'd like to know if leopards like any kind of specific tree to sleep in. And yes, they certainly do. It's not the one that she's sleeping in now, but I'm guessing she's made quite a big kill that she hasn't been able to drag off to a more comfortable tree. And the most comfortable tree in this area for leopards is called a marula tree. And let's see, there's some actually behind us over here, not the best ones. Let's try and have a look at that one over there, Sens, with the nice big horizontal branches. There we go. There you can imagine nice big branches that are horizontal or flat, that are comfortable for the leopard to lie on. And that is the tree that we usually see them in. It's also the tree that the elephants love at this time of the year because it's got a very tasty fruit. So a very useful tree out here in this part of Africa, because it doesn't only serve the leopards with a lounge suite, but the elephants with some fruit. Only at this time of the year, though. Now, I hope Taylor's not too far away, because like I said, she's going to be able to do a better job with Dave on camera, because poor old Senzo's having to hold the camera with his hands, so it can get a bit tiring and a bit shaky. I'm wondering if this cub isn't also up a tree somewhere. The cub is a lot smaller than she is, and maybe it's hiding up in a tree. Maybe it's still hiding in the grass. Who knows? Maybe it's nibbling on some of the meat of whatever Mom has caught for the two of them. Well, awesome, awesome stuff. You can see she's not very comfortable there. She can't just put her head down and go to sleep. She keeps kind of tossing and turning. But she's making a decent plan for now. And one thing... Bless me. One thing that leopards and lions and most of the big cats aren't lucky with is that once they have made a kill, they need to feed on so much of it as quickly as they can, because they don't know if any other predators are going to come and steal it from them. So they tend to eat themselves into a state that it hurts. Some of you may have done that once or twice. Too much ice cream or too much pizza, and afterwards your stomach is hurting and you can hardly even roll over in bed. That's what life is like for the big cats when they do get lucky enough to make a kill. And as quick as they are and as incredible as their camouflage is, it's very, very difficult for them to actually catch their prey. They only succeed in about 1 out of 10 attempts. So that gives you a good idea of how hard it is for them to actually get their next meal. Not nearly as easy as it is for us, because we can just pop into a grocery store. Very good. Oh, she's moving. Let's have another look. She might come down, or she may just try and get comfortable somewhere else. Now, leopards are the best climbers of trees out of the 3 big cats of Africa. Cheetah aren't nearly as good, nor are lion. And she's making what she's doing here look quite easy compared to what the other cats would be doing. Now, I'm hoping that her movements may in fact help us find, or at least stir up the little cub. Maybe the cub's going to wake up and come and try and play with Mom. She's a very, very playful little girl, the cub, and often actually gives Mom quite a hard time. Okay, well, now that Tundi's moved down the tree, we're going to not actually send you to Taylor anymore. We're going to send you across to Steve and his cameraman Sebastian, who have got a very cool drone that is going to take you on a little bit of a flight around the Sabi Sands. Enjoy.
Two, one, lift off. How amazing is that? The landing gear is now up, and we have the ability to hover just like that in the air. Now I wonder if FC can show you a picture of the drone. There he is. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? Okay, so now you've seen the hovering drone. There is a mounted amazing gyro camera on there. And so we're going to go back to the drone, and now Seb is going to take it high into the sky. Off we go, Seb. Show these kids what you've got. Yeehaw! Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, South Africa. As far as the eye can see, boys and girls, is the African wilderness. There are elephants and lions and rhinoceros and hippo lurking throughout that wilderness, and we are out in search of anything that we can find. But how marvelous is this to have this aerial view of the savannah? How high are you now, Seb?
I am 65 meters.
65 meters, so about 100 and something feet, 180 feet.
You should see us down here.
There we go. Hello, everybody. There we are. There we are, and we're going to now drive a little bit along this road and show you how amazing Seb is as a pilot. He's able to follow us now as we drive along. And he's quite high now that you almost can't hear the propellers off of the drone. And so it's quite a nice, inobtrusive way, meaning it doesn't disturb the animals too much when the drone is high up in the sky. So quite marvelous indeed. A little bit of a picture breakup. We apologize for that. And we are in the middle of the African wilderness, and there is some technical stuff that goes with it. But marvelous that we can show you these images. You can see I am driving quite slowly. I could be driving quicker. Seb is quite the master pilot. Seb can go over 65 kilometers an hour. So that is about 30 miles. That's pretty fast. Pretty fast. A little bit of picture break up there, boys and girls, but look down. Back to us. But too much picture break up in the sky there. It is, you can imagine we have got a drone high up. It is coming down to our vehicle. We're projecting it through to a mast over that way, and it's going boom into the atmosphere all the way over to wherever you might be in the world, as far away as you are. I think it's remarkable that we're able to do these things. And for TV and for footage, it is fantastic. So Seb is the one of 2 pilots of the drone that we have here at Wild Earth. A little bit of practice to not break that very expensive equipment. Selena, we only have 1 drone, am I right, Seb? One is broken. The other is in service. We have two. One is being serviced in service at the moment. To learn how to drive things, invariably they get a little bit damaged from time to time, and it is possible that this one got a little bit damaged. Well, last one got a little bit damaged in the practice of it. By a battalier eagle. Took it out of the sky, thought it was another battalier. It's one of our small eagle species that we find. I'm going to go left up Central, Seb, and then go Hyena Road up to Buffelshoek Dam. How's the picture there? Lou, how's the signal? I realized we were on probably one of the worst roads starting, so I apologize for that. Okay, we're just moving out the now, Lou. It should get a lot better now. We are high in the sky. We just had to at the back. Watch your feet there, Seb. We have specially designed a box to fit on the back, to fit Maurice, because you saw the back. It's rather difficult. So for the last TV show, Conrad and some of the guys back at camp, the technical team, they designed a perfect box that fits on the back, which takes up almost no space. It does give the vehicle a rather large bottom, but that is okay. We are not often seen on the film. You get to see this area here, which is okay. Right. We're going to be turning onto a road and going north. It is called Hyena Road, probably because there were hyenas on it at one stage, or there was once a hyena den. It's difficult to say why many of these roads are named what they are named, but I reckon, Lou... Ooh, so Scott is having a little bit of a cheat, but then he needed to go quite far. So we're going to go to Scott and see exactly how he's cheating on his bushwalk.
Well, I'm cheating by driving, and if Steve's not careful, I'll drive all the way home and leave him and Taylor to do the rest of the safari. We've already done our work. We found the leopard, so we're not too sure what to do next. Only kidding. Only kidding. We've decided, because we drove in there, obviously we have to drive away, and we're going to drive into another area now where there's nobody else doing anything, and then we're going to jump off again and see what other interesting animals you can find. Maybe we'll start looking for the creepy crawlies now that we found a big cat, got that out the way. We can look for some of the smaller, more interesting things. Maybe some elephants would be exciting to sneak up on foot. They're one of my favorite animals to walk around when you're on foot. It's very, very exciting because their eyesight's not the best, but their smell is very good, which means on quite a windy afternoon like this, you can creep up quite close to them without them even knowing that you're there. So those are my kind of rough plans, and I think in the next 2 or 3 minutes we're probably going to jump out the car. And it sounds like Taylor's got into position now with that female leopard, and it sounds like she's having a snack. Why don't you go see?
Well done, Scott and Herbie and Senzo. What an amazing find. Very, very cool to see a beautiful leopardess and her lunch. She's having a late lunch today, and it is a huge impala, a massive impala that she has taken down. And I don't think it was here this morning, because we were walking around here this morning. I think she might have killed this impala this afternoon, maybe after we went on bushwalk. Can you believe it? She was just around here hiding. Pretty amazing. Look at her now. She's going to tear into it and try and gobble as much up as she can. And it's very important that she tries to eat as much of the impala as possible, because she's got a little cub. I don't think the cub is here right now. Otherwise, I'd imagine it to be also trying to feast on the carcass, or at least jumping around and playing with it, and annoying mom like little cubs normally do. So she's going to probably gobble up as much as she can, and then maybe have a little siesta, maybe have a little rest, or perhaps then walk back and go and find the cub and bring the cub here. This is too big for her to drag all the way to wherever she's left the cub. Now, something that you have to be very careful with leopards is that they're very, very quick off the mark. So they're very good at sprinting. And Angela, you were just wondering how fast can a leopard run. Well, what's more impressive as to how fast the leopard can actually run is how quickly they can cover a sort of a distance. So they've got an amazing acceleration speed. So they can run at 24 meters per second. So 3 feet, I think, is 1 meter. So that's pretty quick, traveling that sort of distance in just a short space of time. So you've got to be very, very careful. And sometimes Tandy can be a little bit, she's interesting. Her mood is not always the greatest. And she did snarl at us a little bit earlier, so she was showing us her teeth. She's not happy with us. So we moved away and we gave it even more space. And now she seems to feel a little bit more comfortable. So what I will also do, because I know that she's a little bit unhappy, is that I'm going to restrict the amount of cars that can come and view her. So I'm only going to let one other person come and sit here while we are sitting with her. Because otherwise, it's going to be crowded, and then she's going to feel like she's locked in. Where are you going, girl? Let's see where she's going to go. We will try and follow her. She's got a little bit of a belly now. That's good. Josh, you're wondering if she killed this impala by herself? Yeah, can you believe that? That a lovely leopard like her has been able to take it down. Let's see if we can follow her. I do need to just be careful. It's going to be tricky. At least we know where the kill is. So we know she's going to come back here. But I don't know what she's going to do now. If she's going to go and fetch the cub. I also don't know where she's kept the cub. She could have stashed it away. That little fluff ball is going to be hidden away, maybe in some fallen logs, as she's standing up on the tree. Sorry, Darby, she's chuffing now. Let's see, she's trying to get a gap because it's very thick. I also must watch where I'm driving, because I don't want to drive over the little cub. Because if Mom is calling her, see, there she is there. Can't see her head just yet, but she's just standing up on the tree. And I thought I heard her go choo, 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 just now. Let's see what she's doing. She's just looking around at the moment. It's not the greatest view. Mason, you're wondering if the little cubs will also climb up at the trees? Yeah, that's one of the first things that they have to learn. And we're trying to pause, because leopards, of course, take their kills normally up to the tops of trees, but that impala is a little bit too heavy for her at the moment. So she might eat as much as she can and then take it up. So if she takes that kill up the tree and the little one needs to eat, well then that one's going to have to learn how to climb trees. Oh, there she goes. Look at her go. Oh, she's climbing right up to the top of that. Oh my goodness. Oh, she better be careful. She better be careful she doesn't fall. That was amazing. Let's have a little listen. She chuffs. There we go. See how her whole body is moving? She is chuffing when she does that. I do want to jump on the radio, everybody. I do apologize. Stations coming into the sighting with this Ingwe Central Drakensberg. Let's limit it to 2 vehicles, please. She's Makulu Kwatile, and just give her room as well. Thank you. I'm telling everybody that she's not 100% happy. She's settled down a lot now. When we do see that animals are a little bit on the unhappy side, it's important that we respect them when we give them room. She's making little sounds. She's not doing it very loudly, though. That's amazing that she can balance on the tree like that. Now, this little leopard has only got 1 cub at the moment, and Riley, you're wondering how many can they have at one time. So 3 is quite a lot for a leopard, but I suppose they can have up to about 4. But the most common is either 1 or 2 cubs at a time. So it's not very many, but it's very sad though, Riley, because unfortunately, not all of those cubs will make it to adulthood. Most of them will actually end up being killed. There she's calling again. This is amazing. You're all very, very lucky to see this. Very, very, very lucky. So stunning the way she's balancing up here. And it also just goes to show you how incredible they are at balancing. I don't think I've ever seen a leopard sitting on such a thin branch before. I'm going to be naughty and take one picture. Don't tell anyone. Look, now she's only got 3 paws on that branch. How is she able to do that? And she's grooming herself. I feel like she's showing off to all of you from Grady Brown Elementary. She's showing me. Maybe next she's going to stand up on her back legs and then we'll hear and then she'll jump off and do a somersault. That's amazing. That's really, really not something that you get to see every day. But they're exceptionally good climbers. And if you watch carefully, you'll see how her tail will actually compensate while she's up there and she does take a paw off the branch. She'll make sure that she uses her tail to help her balance. How are you going to get down from there now, girl? I feel like you got up to the top pretty easily. Now is going to be the hard part. Again, just grooming those paws nicely. And then wiping her face. So she wets her feet and then she wipes her face to clean them like a serviette. Except they don't have serviettes out here, so they've got to make do with their paws. There she's calling again. She's looking for that cub. But that cub can be quite naughty at the age that it is, and sometimes they go wandering and they don't listen to mom. She's saying, come along, come and get some dinner. Wow. Really, really, really incredible. Looking straight at her. She was basically waving to all of you. And she's going again. Calling again and again. I'm also looking out to see if the cover's going to come from somewhere. She's not calling very loudly, so it must be close by. And she just would have dropped it off, probably this morning, and said, right, you stay put. Whether she would have listened or not, I'm not sure. Oh, careful, girl. And down she goes, very gracefully. Wasn't that very graceful? I reckon if I had to try to climb down the tree like that, I would have fallen out. I wouldn't have even made it to the top of that branch, that's for sure. She's just looking for another way down. You can just see her moving. There she goes. I think she's gone, oh no, now I've got to go and look for my baby. Wow. Landing on an even thinner branch. Luckily that one didn't have any thorns on it. Okay, well, I'm very sad to say that unfortunately we're going to have to say goodbye to all of you at Grady Brown, but it's been lots and lots of fun, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Very lucky to see a leopard. Hey, how exciting that you're at school and you get to watch the safari. I wish that I was able to do that. But from all of us, from myself and Steve and Scott and all the cameramen, all the lovely ladies in Final Control, we wish you well and we hope your teacher doesn't give you too much homework. And we'll see you all next time. And for the rest of you, how exciting. We're definitely not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay put and hope that that little fluff ball comes out. Let's go back across to Scott and see if he's actually gotten out of his car.
How absolutely incredible is that? So happy that we managed to find where Tundi is, and I'm astounded by the fact that she allowed myself to... I walked meters past that same bush where that killer's this morning. Then Herbie and Taylor, 20 minutes after I worked there, also walked around there. And like both Taylor and I said, if we don't lock eye contact with her, we could be a meter away from her and she'll just sit in the grass and keep dead still and just let us walk past. It's when you stop and look at her that then she might either run away or charge. So we got incredibly lucky with those kudu and the fact that she was even up that tree to be able to find her. Now our attention and plan has changed. We are now focusing on trying to find you some of the smaller critters. There's not many other tracks we can follow up on Juma that we know of. I scoured the whole property this morning and it doesn't appear like there's too much else for us to follow in the way of big cats. So what I've been doing, I've been walking through this area where there's quite a few Waltheria indica flowers and plants. Let me try and find you a nice one here. Here's a good example of one over here. Beautiful little yellow flowers. And this is often the home to some very cool insects called praying mantids. And it's the flower mantid that frequents this little bush. But I haven't found any just yet, but I have found something else, right? Oh, it just flew off. But it's an interesting little moth. Let's see if it lands. I'm not sure if I'm even watching the same one. But it actually looks like a bird's dropping. That's its form of camouflage. Who would have thought you would like to disguise yourself as poop so that nobody eats you? I guess it's quite a clever technique. So sadly that guy fluttered off. But I'm sure at some point in time we will be able to find the flower mantids. If not, hopefully some golden orb web spiders, which are around, not as many as usual. Cool, well we're going to keep scouring the earth and send you up into the skies with Steve and Seb.
We are indeed. Welcome to all the internet viewers. Maurice, the driver, and Seb Rombi and myself, Steve Bridge, here we are. Hey, what a marvelous afternoon it is. So green. So wonderful to see it from the air, to see what a change this has been from last time when I was watching the TV show and I was watching the footage on YouTube all the way up in the Mara and seeing how brown it was and how lacking in green cover there really was, and only a little bit more rainfall. And oh, Seb, we have got ourselves a beautiful raptor over there. If we could go to camera, please, Lou. We've got ourselves a African harrier hawk. Can you see him there, Seb?
Yeah.
Pull him in. There we go. There's a gymnogene, African harrier hawk. Probably raiding the nests of other birds. Let's see if we can come around. Get him. You got him still? And here the go-away birds calling. Quack, quack. They're not very happy with the gymnogene. The old name is gymnogene. I've got a look at him. We'll be able to see him from across the dam. I wonder what he was doing. He came up off of the bank there as we approached. He's just in that dead tree there, Seb, at like 11 o'clock. Yes, that tree there. Zoom straight in. There we go. That one there, yeah. There we go. Just a little bit more right and down.
Okay, got it.
There he is. What a beautiful specimen. Look at those long yellow feet. And he's got quite a narrow yellow face. And the face can change to red. There we go. Can you see it's got a bit of a red tinge to it? When they are distressed or annoyed by something, that yellow quickly turns to red. It's also something that happens when they're excited, when they're breeding. Maybe it shows the female that they're basically getting excited or getting turned on, for example. And you see how it's red now compared to just now when it was yellow. And that face is very sharp and penetrating. And please, folks, don't forget to send through your questions at #SafariLive and also follow us on the YouTube stream. That face allows the bird to stick its head into cracks and crevices, and those very long featherless legs also enable it to stick its legs into very deep holes, either in cracks in the rocks or in tree cavities where you'll have nesting birds. And they have the ability to sort of move that knee or ankle joint around so that they can find whatever's hiding in the little corners. It's absolutely marvelous. I wonder if he had any distress to the drone that came over. CNAC would like to know if I know anything about the nesting behavior of the African hairy hawk, and they are a raptor, but I'm going to double check on a few things. They're a raptor. I'm pretty sure that they have a nesting, sort of a platform nest in a thorn scrub. I don't think I've ever found one though, so that would actually be a good question to answer if I can just open my phone app here, which is being very, very slow. But with all of your raptors, all the raptors, CNAC, they prefer sort of platform nests. I have an idea that this bird will do it in the sort of crook of a tree. So there we go. Let me just type that in. The crook of a tree, where most raptors quite enjoy too. Safe, out of harm's way of predators. Large stick nest placed in a tall tree, but also on a cliff. So they're not averse to nesting on cliffs, but not specialized in that either. Some birds will only nest on cliffs, and some will only nest in trees, and as it just so happens that the African hairy hawk will choose whichever one suits it. So possibly the habitat that it chooses is all about the food resource. There's no cliffs whatsoever in Djuma, so it would have to choose trees in this instance. Should we have another look from the sky, Lou? It is a marvelous afternoon. Have you got it there? There we go. Wow. There you have us on the dam wall. Buffels Hook. That's a question for Seb. Seb, how far can you see from the drone? Nina would like to ask. So, yeah, what's the distance on the camera there?
Just over a kilometer, between a kilometer and a kilometer point 5.
About 1 to 1.5 kilometers, Nina. So probably less than half a mile, maybe a little bit more than half a mile. But control over it is about the same distance, Seb, about a K or so, K and a half. Yes, so that is very, very cool. But what is important to know, and I know I've seen people use drones before, is that there's a button that you push that it goes back to the place it took off from. But very handy if you're standing in one spot and doing the drone. But in Seb's case, we have been driving for some time. So if he pushes that button, because if you lose sight of the drone, you push that button, it goes back to the GPS points of its original starting location. And there the hippo is just popped underwater. There he is. So if we did that, it would go very far away from where we are and we would lose it. So Seb needs to keep a good control over it. Isn't that a marvelous shot of that hippo? There only seems to be 2 in the dam here today, and there have been 6 or 7 over the week. Where they've come from and where they go is very hard to say. Very, very nice. There the hippo submerges itself. And so from invisible hippo, we're going to go over to Taylor with a very visible cat.
Almost. She's actually quite concealed, sitting underneath that African wattle. And she still every now and then lets out a little sort of chuff and a groan, as if to say, "Come on, little girl, where are you?" And I'm sure Sandy's exhausted from bringing down that big impala. Now the last thing she wants to have to do is go on a walkabout trying to find the cub, because it doesn't seem to be listening this afternoon. But she's just having a rest at the moment. She's eaten. Her belly wasn't too swollen, but it looked nice and full, which is good. And she's just having a little bit of a breather now. And moved away from the kill. And as you saw, basically come back down to the same tree that she climbed on top of a little bit earlier. But that's a nice spot there, off the ground. She can dangle her legs. She probably feels nice and comfortable, panting away. Now, I just hope when that little cub does come around, it's going to be out in the open. Now, equalizer, an interesting question for me. We wondered if it rains within the next 24 hours, will it sort of benefit the predators? Not so. I don't think it's necessarily benefiting the predators. The reason why is because they're not the ones that are eating grass. Yes, they're drinking the water, so they'll be thankful that the water will be slightly fresher because obviously it's been sitting in the sun now for quite a bit, so it's not as nice. And the grass is going to grow nice and long. The leaves are all going to get green, and some more flowers will pop out. So there'll be a lot of more insects around. There will be the vegetation will be lovely and lush, which will be great for the herbivores. So I suppose in a way, the only way that the predators are going to benefit is because it's going to provide a little bit more cover. So it doesn't just benefit one or the other. It actually benefits all the creatures out here, in fact. It makes it difficult for us, though. Of course, Steve was talking about it this morning, although I feel like we all speak about how we love it that it's all lovely and green. It just makes finding animals and just game viewing in general a little bit more challenging. But again, luckily for us, we've got a camera that can zoom in to places. When you're just sitting on a safari car as a guest, it can be quite difficult to find a gap that everybody can see. Luckily, it's just us. So I think that that's a bonus, in fact, when we can find them. And again, just well done to Scotty, Senzor, and Herbie. Great tracking. Very, very nice. Well done to the three of them. We knew she was here, though. We had our suspicions, but remember how this morning when I was on bushwalk and I was pointing into a bush and I said, she could be right there. Imagine she was just sitting on the other side and we just couldn't see her. Although I think if we were that close, she maybe would have snarled at us. Now, I'm still looking around for hashtag not Rebel Wilson. I don't know where she is or where she has been stashed. And Tandy hasn't really looked in the same direction and called. She's been calling all the way around. So perhaps Tandy's uncertain herself. Again, she just went rah, trying to call that little one. And Charlie, you were wondering at what age will the little cub be fully weaned? Normally around 6 to 7 months or so. But right from about 3 to 4, around 4 months or so, they'll already start feeding on the carcasses. So it'll be nice to see if that little one does tuck in. If I'm not mistaken, she's now between 3 and 4 months, somewhere around there, maybe even a little bit older than that, give or take a little bit, of course. But she actually looks like she keeps looking off to the right when she is calling, so back sort of towards us. And then to the north, so towards Buffelshoek Dam almost. So maybe it's around here in the drainage line. Well, we walked quite a few of those drainage lines this morning. Again, we could have walked past that little cub, but it would have sat still, would have been told to sit still. I don't think it would want to come out when it sees people. She doesn't look like she's ready to get up and go searching for it just yet. Not just yet, but maybe she's going to get to that point when she's going to have to go, right, my mother responsibilities are, well, feeling a bit of pressure, and off she'll go to try and find that little one. But we're not going to go anywhere. We're still going to hang around and play the patience game, and hopefully it does pay off, because I haven't seen that little cub properly, only just briefly the other day. Scott is also joining in on the mud willow theme. I've been at one, Steve was at one, now it's Scott's turn.
Yes, it is my turn at a mud wallow, and what we are hoping on doing is finding some foam nest frogs. As I said on the Sunrise Safari, for those of you who were not with us, I've come out of the closet. I'm a lover of amphibians now, and that is why I'm on a never-ending search for a frog soulmate. Here's a foamy nest that they make. It doesn't look incredibly fresh, but you can see the foam nest from whence their name is derived. And I'm trying to kind of work out where they like to position themselves when they're not building the nest. And they usually kind of stay close to these little wallows. So a good spot to check would be in this kind of tree, not too far away. But they're incredibly well camouflaged. I'm hoping that because it's such a hot day, they'll be quite white in color. I've noticed that during the hotter parts of the day they make themselves white, and as it cools off they go a more greyish colour. But no immediate joy here. But there's a few more mud wallows in this area, so we'll keep searching, because I'd love to get you guys some close-up views of these wonderful amphibians. Now, somebody did ask the other day what would happen if it rains to those foamy nests, and they look a lot more frothy than they actually are. And once they've been made, they kind of solidify into almost a foamy substance, kind of a hardish, foamy substance. So they're a little bit more tough than I actually thought they were, to be honest. Once they've hardened a bit, of course, if it's very fresh and it hasn't had time to harden in the sun, then it will be very soft and easily damaged by rain. I guess their biggest kind of concern for these frogs is that the actual puddle will dry up before the eggs hatch, leaving the tadpoles to fall into a dusty death. No joy with any of the smaller critters that we were hoping on finding just yet, but I'm sure we'll get lucky sooner or later. Speaking of smaller critters, I'm hoping it doesn't take too long for Tunny's little cub to poke her head out with Taylor. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. I'm also quite surprised about that scenario because there was hyena tracks very close to that area this morning. So obviously the hyena went past but just didn't have the right kind of wind in their favor to be able to smell the carcass. Luckily for us, because that means we got a chance to at least find Tundi this afternoon. But I do fear unless she gets that kill up into a tree this evening, it will be stolen. Okay, good. Well, we're going to continue our walkabout and now send you back to Steve, who's moved away from the Buffelshoek waterhole.
Thank you very much, Scotty. We have just been given a report on the radio from this morning. Remember, we tracked the Umkuhuma Pride up to the northern boundary to Buffelshoek, and they were left lying around on the north of it, not far, but next to a dam called Tambuti Dam. And I just had a chat with Tom on the radio, who's one of the landowners from the north, and he's gone to find the lions, and they're not there. So I am putting some faith in the fact that they might have come back just across the road, just a little bit further this side, and then we can go and have a look at them. Wouldn't that be marvelous to see the Umkuhumas this afternoon? The one time facing it and had something in it. Now, it looked to me a Wahlberg's eagle, but I didn't get a good look. The sun in his eyes. He's gone now. Sorry about the bad signal there. We just went through a little depression. We're out now and we're climbing the other side, keeping my eyes to the ground because you never know those lions to come back up. Super happy if they did. For whatever reason they moved. Maybe they heard something or hunted something. Maybe those moments about an hour, 45 minutes ago when the clouds came over and everything cooled down, they got up and they did a bit of a jogger. That would have been great. Let's have a look. We're holding thumbs. Think. Hashtag Safari Live. Seb is for you. For you. Yeah. Lot of packs coming in and out of elephants. Sorry about the signal, folks. On Jigger, we're on Jigger. This is James's mobile studio. It has got all sorts of technology which facilitates the use of Ronald and the drone and the microscope. And so, because of that, it's got some things that go wrong with signal. So, I apologize for any breakup that might come through there. Beck, thumbs up from you. Thank you very much. So the dam is sort of on the right-hand side there, I think. So I'm keeping my nose very close to the ground to see Seb's keeping his eyes peeled on the surroundings to see if there is a lion in the long grass. There's no other word from Tom from the dam, so he hasn't managed to find them yet, which means that they possibly might be on our side. What's the viewers' votes? Beck has given me a thumbs up. I think you're all just on the edge of your seat. Oh, well, if we don't have lions, we will have an elephant who is moving directly across our line. And there's an impala. There's no lion around if there's an impala, but there's an elephant just moving across our line. And the small little two-track we passed is exactly where the lions were seen. So there we have a shy elephant that, obviously noting our arrival, has decided to slow its pace, but its direction is heading directly towards Tambuti Dam, which is just north of us here. I'm just going to roll forward just a touch to see if this young elephant bull is going to come a bit closer. It's been quite tentative. He obviously wanted to hide in the shadows there until we passed by, but can he hold off his thirst long enough? Definitely thirsty. Can you see the trunk is just twisted up? He's trying to smell and ascertain there. He has dropped his fifth leg in a sign, once again, ladies and gentlemen, of submissive behavior. That is information that I share with you, information that I have figured out. It is not something I've read anywhere, so if I am wrong, I apologize. But I've seen it time and time again with younger bulls and with submissive behavior in sort of semi-older bulls. And he's getting excited, he's drooling from his trunk off to the dam. And we are going to still mission around this area here and see what we can find. And from leopards with Taylor to leopard tortoises with Scotty Dyson. Let's go see his.
Yes, we're having lots of luck with the leopards this afternoon. And this individual, just like Tundi, is also hiding. I don't blame it, because it's not sure about what our motives are. And even though it's got an incredibly hard shell, it's just making 100% sure that it's safe. Now, something interesting with tortoises, it's planning a move it looks like, is that you can kind of guess their age by counting how many rings they have on their scutes. So I'm going to try and count. It's going to be tricky because it's moving. But essentially, each main ring indicates a kind of season. So you could assume it's possibly a year. Oh, it's on the move, so it's going to make it very difficult to count. But I did count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was a good year. Got a lot of growth there. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 15 different little lines, roughly. I mean, it's just a rough count, which indicates possibly 15 seasons of growth or 15 summers. And that means it's possibly 15 years old. And regarding their size, this is about as big as they get in this area of South Africa. They get almost double or triple the size in other parts of Africa, where it's obviously more productive for them. And shame. Let's maybe leave this guy be, because it's probably a little bit terrified. And thanks for having us, buddy. We'll leave you on your way. And I hope you have a good day. Lots of food around for you at the moment, and also importantly for the tortoise, lots of water around that's easy to get to. So that makes their life easier. One of their biggest hardships, and a big reason why you should never pick up a tortoise, especially during a dry season, is that they may urinate on you as a form of self-defense, thus releasing a lot of water and much needed moisture, which could put them in a tough trouble because they don't know where they'll find their next water. Very good. We're going to send you from a leopard tortoise. Senzo nearly fell over there. Well done, Senzo, on recovering. All the way back to Taylor with a real leopard.
Very funny that Senzo almost fell over. I feel like all cameramen lately have been slipping around. Davy, when did we do a walk in the afternoon? 2 afternoons ago, when you almost went sliding back down into Philemon's Dip. And you almost fell this morning. That's quite correct. for a change, it's not me. But Tandy is now moved from her, or she's still in the shade, I spot, but she's not quite tucked away underneath the African wattle anymore. She's grooming those paws. It's very meticulous the way that she goes about it, licking, wetting all the hair around it, and then wiping her face. But it's not quite like a serviette, it's more like a wet wipe, isn't it, that you get after you've eaten ribs. A little finger bowl. She's cleaning herself up nicely. I'm quite curious to see what she's going to do. I mean, she's going to need to eat a little bit more of that impala before she can hoist it. But now she also runs the risk this evening, if she keeps it down on the ground and if the nosy hyena comes on through, he's going to take it, or she might take it for herself. Or perhaps another leopard, a lion could come through. Many animals come through and steal her kill. And Lara Moore, you're wondering exactly that. Why did she leave her kill down on the ground? Well, it's just a bit big for her. I mean, Tandy's notorious for bringing down large prey. I mean, I think she's taken down a female waterbuck before. Whether it was a sub-adult or not, I'm not sure. Either way, that's impressive. Definitely weighed a bit more than she did. So it's just a bit too heavy. So she'll try and eat as much as she can off of it. But because she's not a particularly big leopardess, it's going to take her a while to get through that impala. So if maybe she opens the stomach up, it doesn't look like she'd done that yet, and sort of pulls out all the intestines and the stomach, that will lighten it quite a bit too. And she's already started eating on one of the hindquarters, and then from there she'll probably take it up the tree. Whether she'll take it up into that bush willow that Scott found her in, I'm not sure. Maybe she'll drag it somewhere else to a more appropriate spot, because that wasn't too high, and I reckon that a hyena could launch itself into the air. And we've seen this before with Tristan, how high hyenas can jump from the ground. And they're also dedicated, especially if they know they could potentially get an easy meal. They might do that. Here's an interesting one as well. Speaking of the impala kill, Bonnie, you said, what do I think Tandy would do, if Tingana came through and tried to steal the kill? I don't know. I don't know if she'd maybe hiss at him, growl at him a little bit. However, Tandy is much... Tingana, too many T's. Taylor, Tingana, Tandy, my goodness. Tingana is much larger than Tandy. And if he wants to, and she's basically saying, no, you can't have my kill, he's just going to take it anyways. And she'll be quite protective of that cub. So she might not take sort of the defensive stand and try and defend the kill. She might just go, okay, cool, you can have it. But who knows, strange things are happening out here in the Sabi Sand. Perhaps she shares her kill. I know there was a sighting not so long ago. David, maybe you remember, where I think it was Shadow and the cub that met up with Tingana, or what? Yeah, it must have been the three of them. That was quite cool. Well, she's on the move, so we're going to see if we can get a better position or see where she's going to take us now. Scott? I think I heard Scott has something wrong with his leg. Or maybe I've made it up. Let's go see if he's okay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with anybody's legs at the moment. We have found a kite spider. It's just repositioned, so Senzo is having to adjust the exposure so that we can hopefully try and see its colorations. It's got some beautiful, beautiful markings on it, and it's just gone into stealth mode now. It's just kind of dangling there. Oh, there it's moving. Out of stealth mode. There, we can see it a little bit better now. And isn't this cool? Now, they're called kite spiders because the shape of their abdomen is kind of square, like a kite. And I haven't seen any of these this season, so very happy to see my first individual. Let me see if I can't bend the stick backwards and maybe get the lighting a little bit better. That might help. There we go. How cool is this thing? Now, it doesn't appear to have built much of a web here, so it must have just got into the spot. And it can move incredibly quickly considering it's carrying such a big abdomen around. I'm impressed with its power. And it's hit a bit of a cul-de-sac there, so it's either going to have to turn around or stay put. Very, very cool. Now, this is the first spider of the afternoon. I'm hoping we're going to get lucky and find you a bigger, possibly more impressive spider in the way of either of the orb-web spiders that we get here, or the main orb-web spiders, the golden orb-web spider or the garden orb-web spider. So that's what we're hoping for. Just move the antenna. Was stuck on this little branch. I didn't want Senza to get tangled up in too many bushes. Wunderbar. It's quite a windy afternoon, which is good conditions for us. Actually, I'm hoping that we come across a herd of elephants, because with the strong wind, we'll definitely be able to creep up quite close to them. To give you an idea of how quickly the wind's blowing, I'll deploy the ash bag, and you can see it's blowing quite strongly to the west. I'm hoping I'm going to get to pull out this ash bag a little bit later on for some more serious business. It's one of the most important tools I feel you need to carry if you are wanting to approach dangerous game like rhino and elephants. The big cats, to a degree, but their sight is so good that you can't rely on sneaking up as close to them as you can if the wind's in your favor. But with rhino and elephant, you certainly can. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. It's also cooling off a little bit, which is a wonderful relief. And I'm hoping this cool weather is going to mean that the Inkuhuma Pride of Lion that Steve is looking for is going to be up and on the move sooner than they normally would be. And ideally, they would be moving on to Juma, because like Steve said, they were just north of our boundary this morning. Anyway, it sounds like he's getting closer to that area, so why don't you hop on board with him and get a quick update as to how he's getting along.
Thank you, Scotty. There's nothing too much to report at the moment. We have been up and down on the cut line with Buffelshoek, looking into the void of immense dense bush and shrubs and trees and grasses, and not as much as a peep from a lion. Not a hair on their head has been seen. Tom is north and has done a big scan of the dam. There's not a single track coming south, and Tom, the landowner, hasn't found a track either. So I'm not sure where they are, but it is still quite warm, so I wouldn't assume that they've gone too far. If they are anywhere, they're probably just in the shade of the trees around the dam, and Tom just hasn't managed to find them there. So what we are going to do is we're going to move out of the area, and we'll probably come back here on our way back later as it cools down, as the lions probably start to move. So Seb had the idea that, considering Taylor is sitting with Tundi and the cub, and Scott is on bushwalk, we might make our way all the way down to Chitwa this afternoon and see what eventful stuff has come down that side. I apologize, there's no cub with Tundi, but hopefully that will eventually happen. So yeah, we think we might head on down to Chitwa. I think that'll suit. See what happens down there and see what updates there are. I know Hosanna was there this morning chasing buffalo up and down from Chitwa onto Torchwood. What a marvelous little animal that is. So we'll get down and closer to Chitwa and get on the radio, get an update from that side. See, who knows? Maybe Tingana himself has revealed himself again. Maybe is out and about. We never know. These cats, as you've seen many occasions, reveal themselves in the most unbelievable manners. We are on the northern boundary, east to our east, down our eastern boundary, and in Chitwa. So our jigger has got some technical issues while we were moving, so we're going to chat to you for just a moment, and I'm sure Lou's going to find a way to link me across to someone soon so we can get moving. But it is a wonderful afternoon, and I'd like to hear your comments. There weren't too many comments that came through about the lions, and obviously we were quite unsuccessful, but I would like to come back this way on the way home later this afternoon. I think that would be a good idea. But in the meantime, we still have lots of time on drive. We'll go down south to Chitwa and see what's happening. Are we all good there, Lou? Okay. Okay, so we're going to go across to Scotland, but first.
Okay, well, I'm sure Steve's signal will stabilize sooner or later, and hopefully by then he'll have some more conclusive news as to what is happening with that pride of lion. They really are looking so good at the moment in terms of their numbers, their makeup, such great prospects for the future success of that pride, and really looking forward to seeing how the next few months play out for them. It'll also be interesting because a lot of the lioness that gave birth to the older litter of cubs, or litters of cubs, there's 6 of the kind of sub-adults, they'll be coming into season fairly soonish. I'm not too sure exactly when, actually, but that is also something to bear in mind. And imagine seeing those sub-adults a little bit bigger and then a whole new bunch of cubs. There could be over 20 lion in that pride before we know it, which will be absolutely wonderful for us. Not so good for the herbivores and prey species of this area, but I guess that's the way nature balances things out. Sometimes the predator numbers are low and the herbivores can boom, and in other times the predator numbers are high, and then that kind of brings the prey species populations back down to sink, so that not too much of the vegetation is destroyed by them. Either way, very, very good prospects. We snooping around our kind of southern boundary here, just hoping to find any sign of more predators, anything interesting along the way, but nothing just yet. Some old leopard tracks are going down this road that we're on at the moment. Very, very good. I think your name's Puma. I'm not hearing Louise too clearly, but you would like to know what are the other key indicators species out here. And, sheesh, it's a good question. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I guess all of them, you know, from the smallest bugs to the biggest mammals, they all kind of indicate some level of how the climate's doing, how the habitat's doing. You know, the bigger animals are often good indicators, like herds of buffalo. You know, there haven't been many buffalo in the area, which indicates that there hasn't been much grass here. Elephants have been coming and going, so in terms of what they need to feed on, everything appears to be okay. But like I say, for the buffalo, who are strictly seeking out grass, and other mega herbivores like rhino, we haven't been seeing too many of them. Not that we show them to you, even if we do see them. Yeah, so I wonder, it'll be interesting to hear Steve and Taylor's thoughts on that question. Steve is an ecologist after all, so he may have some more insight into that than me. But yeah, that's my best shot at it, Puma. Ah, the shade. The shade is nice. Let's see what's going on down here. Any interesting tracks or signs that we can see? A tiny little genet track here, it looks like. Too small to even warrant showing you, especially because it's not very clear substrate here. So much depends on the substrate that you're moving along with regards to how clearly you can actually see tracks. And this section here is not the best. So this is the tree that I think Tundi's sleeping in now, Weeping Wattle. They were in flower a couple of months ago, but they're no longer in flower. And when these trees are in flower, there are millions and millions of bugs and insects that get attracted to them, but not too much now, although there is something fluttering around there. I don't have a clue what that thing is. Where did it go? Have you got it still, Sands, or has it disappeared? Disappeared. James, you would like to see some aardvark tracks. We're going to have to probably put that one on hold. I mean, we might stumble upon some, but as a general rule, the morning is the best time to examine tracks, because that is when they are most fresh, especially of a nocturnal animal like an aardvark. We do see their tracks fairly regularly here on Djuma. We need to be careful on this hill because you can end up sliding down it. little slow jog. But yeah, we sadly don't see them as often as we see their tracks. So yeah, James, you'll just have to, this is one of our tricks to lure you in to watching multiple and joining us on multiple safaris by just telling you you're not too sure when it's going to happen, but it'll happen at some stage. I mean, you just need to make sure that you're alongside us when it does happen. Otherwise, you can keep asking until you might get lucky and we can just deliver it immediately, but it's usually not that easy. Okay. Well, it sounds like Steve has changed plans. Obviously, he's got some intelligence on the Nkuhuma Pride. He's now heading off to Chitwa Chitwa. Why don't you go and hear what the latest is with the lions?
No intelligence, Scotty, at all, apart from the fact that no one has seen them this afternoon. But there's only one individual in the area that was trying to look, and he's one of the landowners. So I wouldn't say that he's got a tracker with him or has the potential to get off and do what all the trackers do here. So I'm sure when Tax and the other Djuma rangers are interested in the Nkuhumas, they'll make their way there and assist with that. But yes, it is decided we are making our way to Chitwa, where Seb and I went on my interview drive, and we had a wonderful experience with Hosanna and Tingana that afternoon. So, and it was about this sort of time. I remember being quite the... Okay, so I'm going to continue my story in a little while. We're going to go over to Taylor, who's got that beautiful leopardess doing something quite beautiful.
Well, I suppose after you've had a big meal, you need something, well, to help aid in digestion, and a good drink of water will do exactly that. So Thandi has made her way towards Gwari Pan, where she's having a sip of water, and hopefully it is nice and cool, because it has been a very, very hot day. It would be nice if she could quench her thirst. And look at that belly, it's bulging down, right down on the ground, so perhaps she's eaten a little more than we initially thought. It's nice to actually see her out in the open for a second time. We've been lucky this afternoon. We've been very, very, very lucky. Now, all we need to see is that little cub. But if we don't get to see it this evening, that's okay. Maybe we'll have a chance tomorrow morning. I still have yet to see it. And I hope you all are taking some screenshots. This is very, very beautiful. And will make for a great wallpaper or screensaver. Remember to share them. We love to see them. Hashtag Safari Live. On Twitter, of course. Now, speaking of that little cub, unfortunately, I haven't had the greatest view of her just yet. And Shamama, you're wondering if I'd seen the little cub. When Thandi eventually took us back to the den site the other morning, we waited and we waited and waited well after game drive, burning in the sun. It was so hot, sweating, in hope to get a chance to see that little one. But unfortunately, we didn't get the greatest view. I saw her little tail swishing around, and I saw branches and leaves and grass being flattened as she pounced from them. But there were lots of tumbutis, lots of baboon's tail in that area, so we couldn't off-road too much. And also, you don't really want to be parking right down on a drainage line. Remember, in the drier months, that's where a lot of the animals are going to have to go and do their grazing and browsing. And if you go into those areas and you off-road everywhere, you reduce the vegetation. And then essentially you're just taking the food away from the animals. And most of you know how harsh the winter is in this area. So they kind of need every bit of grass and all the leaves that they can get. So I didn't want to push it too much. Also, I'd then be parking on top of Thandi, and that wouldn't be ideal either. So we moved away. And so no, I can't say that I even saw her face. May have seen her backside once or twice. So I really am looking forward to having my first view of this cub. But like I said, if it's not today, it's not today. I'm not going to push it. I will wait for my chance and the right opportunity, because maybe I'll get an amazing sighting like everybody else has had. But every sighting that the guides have had with her has been absolutely spectacular. So I'm willing to wait for it. Thandi has just been magnificent over the last few days. When we had found her and had seen her, she's been also putting on an absolute show for us, which is really nice. Really, really cool to see. I don't know, can you hear her lapping up the water? May have been able to hear some angry elephants trumpeting. It might be a little bit too soft, I'm afraid. I can hear it, but there's a bit of a breeze, so that could be altering it just slightly. Just creating some beautiful ripples, though. Lovely artwork. Who knew that Tandy was an artist? Isn't that cool? Drinking quite a bit of water too. Some doves just flew overhead. I think they wanted to land to come and quench their thirst too, but thought, nope, next watering hole is a leopard at this one. Ah, hello young Billy, who's only 5 years old. You're wondering, what games do leopards like to play? Well, older leopards like Tandy, they don't really want to play games anymore. I feel like they've lost their fun spirit. The only games they really like to play is stalking and catching antelope. That's their favorite game. And her cub would like to play lots of games. Unfortunately, Mom has to entertain that little one because she hasn't got any siblings to play with. So Mom will swish her tail from side to side, whether she's doing it to try and keep it away from the sharp teeth of her little cub, probably. And then that little cub will also like to play with branches and bits of grass that are blowing in the wind. Anything that moves, that little cub will be very excited about and want to chase around. So basically, it's just a game of cat and mouse. And then sometimes Mom entertains the little one and will actually play around and, tap it with her paws and push it over. But not being rough or not being ugly. It's important that they practice wrestling, because one day that little cub is going to have to catch its own food, catch a big impala or an inyala. But for now, it won't be doing any hunting just yet. She's still very, very young. Tandy, was that fantastic? Do you feel better now? She's not panting as heavily as she was before. Just a bit of saliva coming out of her mouth. Oh, there we go. That's nice. All that gob dripping down her face. Where are you going to go next, girl? Right. Okie dokie, we're going to see where Tandy's going to go next. Scott has got a bird that's awake a little bit early.
We certainly do, and Senzo was just zooming out there to give you an idea of how well camouflaged this bird is. Doesn't look like there's much to see immediately, but as he slowly starts to zoom in, you will slowly work out that there is a very, very well camouflaged and beautiful nocturnal bird having a snooze on the branch. Ta-da! How cool is that? Absolutely awesome. Its big eyes closed, and it's just relaxing in the afternoon sunlight, waiting to try and catch some bugs. Now, I'm going to put Senzo in a bit of a tricky spot here. I'm going to ask him to try and punch zoom onto its beak. Now, he is hand-holding the camera, so it's going to be difficult, but you will just be able to make out the very small kind of whiskers on its beak. And those whiskers all point forward, creating a funnel, so that as it opens its beak, it's got a very wide mouth. Even though its beak is small, it's got a very big mouth, and those whiskers rather, help funnel insects into their mouth when they catch them on the wing at night. How incredible are its markings? So cool seeing them during the day as opposed to at night. Very difficult to know which nightjar it is. You'll notice in bird books they often show you pictures of them with open wings to help identify them, and you kind of look at the underneath of their wings and also the underneath of their tail feathers to ID them, meaning you kind of have to catch them and pull open their wings to know exactly which one you're looking at, unless of course they are calling, and unless of course it's something like the pennant winged nightjar, which has got incredibly long streamers from the edge of its wings. The terminal points of its wings has these long streaming feathers that come off them. They're really cool, and they do get seen here occasionally. I've only seen one in my life up in the Mara, but somebody saw one not too long ago think in December somebody managed to see one somewhere here on Juma. None of us, though, but another game drive vehicle. How cool is that? Now, we're going to carry on. We don't want to disturb this beautiful nightjar. And Matt, you'd like to know, how did I see that? A bit of luck. And if Senzo zooms out ever so slightly, a bit more, I mean, you can see there's something that's not quite right with that branch, even from here. Branches don't grow with big lumps on them. So that's what kind of caught my attention. And I guess spending many years looking for strange things in the bush, your eye kind of just gets used to looking for strange abnormalities that could lead you to something exciting like this. So yeah, a combination of things there. Wonderful. Tundi's on the move, and so are you, to join Taylor.
We're following Tundi very slowly. Actually, I think this might be a trick for low range, because she's not moving quickly. She's just going for an afternoon stroll. That's even second gear's a bit much. Let's do low range first gear. And then what we can do is just drive very, very slowly and not bother her, and then I won't be playing with the clutch so much either. Driving sneaky tips. And then also I think it's a little bit more stable for you. Hey, Darby. There we go. It works well. Only thing though is when you are in low range gears, you don't want to be turning too sharp, going too quickly. So this is kind of perfect. Even though we don't need it, it will just help. Well, also Tundi will give her some room and not be revving at all. All I've got to do is just touch the brakes every so often. Look how careful she is the way that she's walking though. She doesn't want to trod on any of that vegetation in case it's got some thorns. Being very, very careful and just popping into the pockets of golden light that are creeping in between the silver cluster leaves that are growing around here. There you go. Just put my foot on the accelerator to catch up around the corner. Now, here's something that I'm not exactly certain of, and it's from Paula, and it's basically goes hand in hand with watching Tundi drink, and that is, how much water does a leopard need to drink every single day? Well, I suppose the predators don't have to drink water every single day. If they do catch something, they can actually get a lot of their water or their moisture source from feasting on the animal, from the blood. And if it's a really hot day like we're experiencing at the moment, you might see if they go past a pan, they would drink once a day. I suppose they don't necessarily have to drink all the time. She did lap up quite a bit though. I wonder how many litres she would have got there. Maybe not too much. What do you think, Darby? Just a random guess. Do you think about a litre? I also think maybe a litre, maybe just under a litre, maybe 800, between 500 and 800 mils. It's a hard one to say because I don't know how much water is going in her mouth every time she laps it up. It'd be quite an interesting experiment, but a hard one, I think, to try and perform. And there's lots of things that could influence how much water is ending up in her mouth and down her throat. But I'm not really sure. I mean, lions, leopards, they spend quite a bit of time when they do eventually start drinking water. Now, when you are following cats, big cats like this, it is important to give them a bit of room. Nobody likes to be followed, right behind their tails. The same thing goes with elephants or any of the animals, really. But we've given her about 45 meters or so in front of us. You can see she's quite away. And she hasn't turned back once to look at us. So that's a really good sign. And that's the most important thing. Of course, we're lucky that we get to view these animals all the time. But we need to remember that we need to be respectful of them. And the more respectful you are of the animals, and you give them a bit of room, leave them a little bit earlier, I feel like they remember it. And will hopefully reward you next time. But she'll remember the sighting that she's had with us, although she's an older girl, so she's been experiencing lots and lots of vehicles, and she's quite tolerant, Tundi. But for a young leopard that has never seen a car before, or perhaps is quite skittish, this is a really good way to go about it. It's just slowly start introducing the idea of having a vehicle following you. I mean, sometimes we're lucky and we can have them walk straight past the car, and she would do that to us. I mean, we saw her, she walked right behind us the other morning. So if I were to try and sneak around the bushes and get up in front of her, which sometimes we like to do, and park at a distance, she'll quite happily walk past us. Just checking my tires. I felt like something felt strange for a second. Alright, we're going to keep following Tundi. She's just taking her time as if it was a Sunday afternoon, but she knows there's no rush because the kill will hopefully still be there. Something that would scavenge on a kill if it had the opportunity is the bird that Steve's got.
Wow, it's awesome that you're getting amazing shots of Tundi walking in the road. You've been with her for some time, so it must have been quite sensational. And we have come down to Chitwa Dam. We are officially here, and there goes the large raptor itself, just in time. And indeed, they would scavenge if they can. Fish eagles are quite aggressive scavengers and hunters in their own right. And maybe it was getting a little bit too sunny for it there, and it decided to go into the shade. And it's really interesting because I am parked in exactly the same spot with Seb as I was on my interview with the same fish eagle in the tree. So with bird species, James would like to know what is the biggest sexual dimorphism ratio, and I think it's mainly in the raptor species. Raptors, fish eagles, for example, the male is smaller than the female, same as martial eagles. Bulk, size, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm talking about size there, I think, Lou. So bulk as in size, the females in most raptor species are bigger than the males. In smaller accipiters as well, such as sparrowhawks. And a lot of that's got to do with the fact that the female spends more time on the nest than the male, and the male actually actively is hunting or searching for food when the vegetation is a little bit thicker and denser in the breeding time. And so being smaller allows him much better flight and easier flight because he weighs less to bring food back to the female, who will spend a lot of her time on the nest. A lot of the other bird species, there doesn't seem to be too much in the way of size, bulk size differences. Then you get the plumage, and then plumage, obviously, there is a huge variety in a number of different species. Most birds, though, I mean, the sizes are so different, so minuscule. But I think it is noticeable in some. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. We've got a little gaggle of geese that have just spawned a successful brood of chicks. You can see the parents are the bigger one in the front. That is at least one of the parents. And then the youngsters are following mum down to the water. Obviously, that's where they find safety. And they've done very well to secure these chicks. Marvelous. I've just heard something on the radio. We might respond to it. Someone mentioned of a leopard on Cheetah Cutline. Does sound interesting. We have just come from there, so I don't know how we missed it. But we will get on the radio and have an update. But here we have Egyptian geese. While we find out on the radio, we're going to go to Taylor, who does in fact have a leopard, and we're going to find out more, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Well, there we go, Steve. All you need to do is get hold of either Abel or Taxon. It sounds like it's up here in the eastern corner, but it sounds like that leopard is maybe moving west into Djuma. And it sounds like it's a female as well, quite relaxed. I don't know who it could be. I don't know who else would be up in this top corner. I've been out of the loop for such a long time, but quite exciting. Now, Lou's saying maybe Kuchava. I don't know. Do you think she would come this far? I know she's been hanging around on Chitwa, and she's come from Cheetah Plains side. So maybe she's decided to take over Torchwood. I don't think there's many leopards on Torchwood that have a permanent sort of setup in that area. So I suppose it's an opportunity for her, and then that would mean that she'd start venturing on here. And if it is, you better be careful, girl, because there's lots of big leopards around here. Well, here's Mom, but it is Kuchava. Kuchava is the daughter of Tundi. But we're still following her, and she's just casually strolling along. I think we're coming up close to where that kill is now. I'm hoping she turns off road and then takes us for a little bundu bashing. I haven't said bundu bashing for a very long time, for many months, because I haven't really had to do that when I was up in the Mara. But I'd like her to go fetch her cub before it gets too dark that we can't view her anymore. Now, Ron, you've said, why are leopards such loners? You know what? I don't think these cats are as solitary as, they're made out to be. I mean, how many times have we seen 5 or 6 leopards? Not often, not as many times as we see one leopard on its own, but we often see encounters. I mean, who did I have? I had Shadow, Shongile, and Tamba all in the same sighting once, with it's Tamba up in a tree, Shongile down on the ground, and then Shadow in a tree not too far away. Tristan has had Tandi, Tamba, Hosana, and Shongile, and then Tingana come into the sighting too. And we've all had a number of these sightings. We've seen so many leopards together. So both male and females are marking and defending territory, so they're not living in social groups. Let's see where she's going now. She's just gone behind that tree. So they don't need to live in a group together. They're self-sufficient, and they seem to be able to do so themselves. But like I said, I think there's a lot more social gatherings than we actually know about. And it's because we can't follow them 24/7. It's very, very difficult. But if we were to, I think we'd see a lot more sort of meetups, if you will, with a variety of leopards. It's interesting with all these youngsters around at the moment. What's she doing now? She's chuckling again. Okay, we're going to sit with her and see if she gives that calling another bash, and hopefully it pays off this time round. Scotty D has decided he's going to be a leopard for the afternoon.
Hello, everyone. I'm way up in a bush willow tree. I don't know how many meters off the ground I am, but it feels like probably more than it is. And I've climbed up here to try and get to one of my amphibious friends. It's on a tip march. I'm going to try and keep still so Senzo can zoom in and show it to you. Now, interestingly, we actually saw this very same frog yesterday while we were on drive. It's a little bit tricky with the wind blowing the tree all over the shop for Senzo to zoom in and stay on it, but I came back here just to make sure that it was actually sleeping in the exact same spot, because I'm trying to do a little bit of and see if I can't work out a little bit better how they go about their lives and how long they may stay put on the same branch. And for now, we can say that this guy's been here for 24 hours. Very good. Now, it's time to try and get down from this tree. This could get interesting. Whoa. I don't want to do a Leo Smith and fall out the tree. That's why Louise has decided to stay with me. Oh, there goes my radio. In case I do fall out. Let me get that back on. Thankfully, this tree, despite the branches being quite thin, it's an incredibly hard wood, which means that it can hold my weight surprisingly well, even though it doesn't really look like it could. If you didn't know what kind of tree it was. Yeah. Not very graceful, but I made it down without falling. Take that, Brent. Louise has just given me a 4 out of 10 for dismount. Now, I think I need some of you guys to stand up for me. Yesterday, what was it that I did poorly? I gave myself a 3 or 4 out of 10. Oh, the Senzo just reminded me with a hand motion like that, my chopping of branches, that was definitely a 3 or 4 out of 10. But I mean, that, I would give a 6 at least. Upwards of 50%. I need to put all my gear back on now. That would have got on the way when I climbed up. Very good. That was actually really nice to be up in the tree there with the frog. Although it wasn't as close as I would have liked to have been to it. Maybe next time. Very good. Now, I wonder where Tundi's moving off to, as I'm sure a lot of you are wondering the same thing. So why don't you head back to Taylor and see what's going on over there.
Well, just in case you can hear that sound, there is a helicopter going overhead, probably anti-poaching, so they're off to do a patrol. Now, Scott, you're quite right. I was wondering where she was heading off to, but she's actually just come back to where she's left her kill. She's not feeding at the moment. She's been calling, but you won't be able to hear it until the helicopter moves overhead. And she's just calling and calling and calling, waiting for this cub to respond, but being a little bit cheeky today. and not wanting to really have anything to do with Mom. Well, by the sounds of it, from what I can understand. But maybe maybe Tandy will go searching for her. And again, little lions, little leopards, they're naughty creatures. They don't listen. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they do whatever they want. And, oh no. You know what I've just seen, David? Look at all the vultures down there. Now, I say, oh no, not to have anything to do with the cub, but I wonder if the vultures know that Tandy's got a kill around here, because that is going to lure in other predators, hyenas, perhaps lions, that other leopard that's in the area. She might come down here and investigate and see what's going on. I hope that's not the case. I hope that they've just chosen the spot to roost, and it just is a coincidence that they're in the area. She's got it tucked away, of course, under a bush willow, under a peltiforum, the African wattle. So it is hidden away and concealed quite nicely. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the vultures haven't spotted it. Okay, calling again. She doesn't seem too distressed that she can't find her cub just yet. I mean, she's not going round and round and round, looking, like panicking. She's just sitting there going, well, if you don't want to come, then you must stay wherever you are all by yourself. She's tired. Now, Mina, you were wondering if a leopard, or I suppose any of these leopards, if they eat rotting meat, would they get food poisoning? No, not necessarily. They're able to eat putrid meat that's been sitting in the sun for days and days on end. And they've got, basically they're able to digest the most foul meat that you and I would get too close, and just the smell would make us get sick. That would do nothing. Although I have seen a couple of lions and I have seen leopards actually vomiting before, and that may have been because they ate something funny. So I suppose it's yes and no, but most of the time they're able to tolerate all the bacterias and all sorts of other ugly things, or things that we wouldn't find very nice on a carcass. They're able to sort of power through it. Come, Tundi, call your cub before the sun goes down, because if the sun goes down, then we're not going to be able to view your little one. And that will make me very sad. That means you'll make me wait until tomorrow morning. I also wonder what's going on with that other leopard sighting. I did turn my radio down because there was quite a bit of chatter, but I know that Steve is on it, and he wasn't too far away. Well, Chitwa is really not far away from Cheetah Cutline. Hopefully he's able to get a leopard of his own this evening. Wouldn't it be nice to figure out who it is? Now, I've been scanning. I thought I heard some rustling in the grass a little earlier, but I think I was mistaken. Maybe it was the wind, or perhaps a little Franklin shuffling through. I did get a bit excited. And Willie, you've just asked how far away do I think that cub is. I'm not sure, to be honest. The fact that Tundi's calling from where she is, and she's not calling very loudly. I mean, I've definitely heard leopards, when they are looking for their cubs, call a lot louder before. So it makes me think that it is just around here somewhere. Maybe it's having a snooze. Maybe it's fast asleep and doesn't even realize that Mom is calling it just yet. The reason why I'm not worried is because I have seen leopards going off and searching for their youngsters and actually being distressed. I mean, I've told you the story of Little Bush, Mbula's mother, in fact, when she lost one of her cubs. We still don't know. We still think it may have been a troop of baboons that came through. And that next morning she was going everywhere, calling, searching. She was very unhappy, charging all the vehicles, all these different types of things. So so I'm like, well, I think she's fine. I think she's just, not really putting in too much effort this afternoon. She's allowed to do that. She's also allowed her own time. Maybe she's saying to herself, oh, I feel a little bit better if I sort of call the cub. And, well, if it doesn't come, I tried. And enjoying her relaxing time, because we've all seen what a nightmare that thing can be. Well, I've just seen all the footage, how she's pouncing and biting and pulling ears and biting tails. Don't get much rest when you've got a ball of fluff of that age, full of energy, and of course is going to be very excited to see Mom when it eventually comes back. So good luck to you, Tundi. I think you've got a lot of work on your hands. Now, I'm pretty sure Steve is on his way back from Chitwa. I think he might be. Let's jump back on board to him and see if he's managed to find out more about that leopard.
Disappointing. We were on the radio, had an update from the Vuyatela side. One of the guys from Djuma, Abel, found a leopard. So he told us we should come, and we made our way all the way back onto Vuyatela. We didn't race too fast. We were waiting for any updates he might have. And alas, once again, what has happened to us today? The leopard is somewhere now north in Buffelshoek. So it seems to be a classic case of the animals want to go north, and the wind is coming from that direction. But we did tell you we were going to come back to follow up on the Unkuhumas later on when it gets a bit darker. And we believe, Seb and myself, that we are going to get the best sunset this afternoon. So maybe, as was done the other day, a little Twitter poll was done on who between Scott, myself and Taylor get the best sunset. And I know we're going to cheat slightly because we have got the drone. But the sun is going to set there in the west. We've got some beautiful vantage points here, once again on the Buffelshoek northern boundary of Djuma. And that is all the updates I have for you. So I'm sorry for the little bit of disappointment and letdown. We're a little bit disappointed, but Abel didn't give me much of an update. He told me it was inside the property, and then on arriving in the area, he said, oh, it's very far now. So that is the telltale sign of good updates versus bad updates. So unfortunately, we have been misinformed. There's some old leopard tracks there. But it is going to be a glorious afternoon. Lou says, sorry, that's okay, Lou, not your fault. So sorry for us bumbling around from Vuyatela all the way down to Chitwa and then back again. It is the reality of it. I apologize for moving around so fast. But we are back now. We'll go back into the area of the Unkuhumas and then maybe prepare to set up the drone for a sunset in about 20 minutes to half an hour or so. Yes, that's about right. And I wonder if Taylor will be able to beat in the sunset. So before Scotty D heads back, let's go back over to him. I'm sure he's slowly making his way back to camp. Let's see what he has for you.
Well, interestingly, we're actually not making our way back to camp because we drove out this afternoon to try and get to the area where we were going to start looking for Tundi as quickly as possible. So we've got the joy of just heading back to our vehicle, which isn't too far from here, and then we'll drive back to camp once it's a bit too dark for us to be on foot. So we mixed it up a little bit this afternoon just to try and use our time as effectively as possible, and also, I guess, not have to walk in the blazing heat about a mile, not far, but it's about a mile from camp to where I just saw the grass kind of wriggling at the base of this marula tree over here, and I thought, what could be down there? And I just saw a few francolins disappearing off into the grass, so nothing to worry about. A few rattling cisticolas calling. Tweet, 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 tweet. First lady, you'd like to know on average how many miles do we walk on one of our bushwalks? I'd like to say it varies greatly depending on kind of what's happening, but anywhere between, I'd say 4 miles would be one of the shorter walks, and up to about 8 miles, 9, 10 miles for one of the longer walks. 3 hours you can cover a lot of ground just walking around, and sometimes we kind of race to one area, find tracks there, and if we don't have a vehicle and other tracks get called in, we just have to hot-foot it on foot to get to the next set of tracks that we start following up on. But this afternoon we've taken it very easy. We've probably done, I'd say maybe 3 miles. After our successful start, we thought, let's just take it easy and slowly and just enjoy ourselves out here. We didn't have any pressing kind of things to look for, so we Like I said, took it slowly, and it kind of pays off. When you're moving slowly, you can find the smaller things. That nightjar was a good example and a bonus of what we found from moving slowly and kind of cautiously through the bush, making sure we don't overlook anything. A kite spider was another little bonus. So yeah. But none of us actually carry GPSs, so we don't keep track really of how far we're moving. It's good fun though, a little bit of exercise, a bit of excitement, often finding exciting, dangerous or possibly dangerous animals on foot. This little riverbed, thick area behind me over here is where Kruger last actually had her cub. We were parking ourselves at the base of that big tamboti tree over there and looking down into the riverbed. Tricky spot, we couldn't see her very well, but that's where she last was. And from here to where she is now with Taylor is probably only about half a mile, straight north. Very good, and we're going to send you half a mile straight north to that very position.
Okay, you're back with us. We apologize for whatever technical issues are going on that side. We have slowly made our way back to Buffelshoek Dam. We're going to prepare the drone in a moment. And here we are. It is going to be a beautiful sunset. Let's go. We might as well go right down there. Fantastic. Hippos are still here, doing their thing. I didn't expect them to have gone. Here we go. Are you Scuba Steve? Okay, so we're here with our hippos. We're going to stay here for a little while. We're going to set up the drone and we'll be back shortly with some wonderful shots of the sky. And while we do so, I believe Dave and Taylor have sorted out their gremlins. Let's go back to them.
Sorry about that, everybody. We just had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we are back. Very nice. Now, Tandy is still just pretty much relaxing. She stopped calling, which was what I'd said to you, but you couldn't hear me. And she's now, I think, just enjoying the peace and quiet. Perhaps she's also watching the sunset, Steve? Maybe she was admiring the same view you had. I don't know. But she's just panting away. Maybe she's going to start calling again. Now she's actually twitched her ears. But while Tandy's not doing anything, look what I found. Shall I show you? Because we're not going to go anyway. We'll stay here. I'll just keep an eye on her. Do you know that this is the first time I've seen the seed pods of a Peltophorum africanum, the African wattle? How amazing is that? I don't know why I've never seen them before. And then I opened one up. Let me open up another one. So let me show you. I'm going to, how did I do it? Do the tear. Quite tough. I'm going to look for a little gap here. Oh, you know what? I took one out. It's going to be easier if I show you this one. Now, I don't know if I can... Sorry, Tommy, it's sliding down my head. I don't know if I can eat the seed pods of an African wattle. I do know some of the wattles in Australia are actually toxic, and you shouldn't eat the seeds, so I'm probably not going to do the taste test now. I don't have a plant book with me, and so I don't actually know, but maybe we can ask Steve, maybe we can ask Scott if they know, or even Herbie if you can eat the seeds of an African wattle, or perhaps some of you can try and search on the interweb for me, because I don't have very good signal. There's a lot of the websites these days, they give you medicinal uses, they tell you if you can eat the fruit, or if they're toxic, and all these different types of things. And if somebody finds an answer for me, hashtag Safari Live, let me know, because it does look really tasty, and I really just want to eat it, but I know better than to eat things that are, I don't know if they're toxic or not. And the hospitals are far away from here. They look so nice. They even smell nice too. I mean, I suppose it smells like a pea. I don't really like peas, but maybe I'll like the beans from the African wattle. So there we go, some homework for everybody. Oh, Herbie says, no, I can't eat the seeds. Okay, I trust Herbie. So I will not be eating the seeds, even though I better throw it away because it's so tempting. But that's quite cool. I didn't realize they had those beautiful seed pods on them. I'll find some more information about the seed pods, and next time we do bushwalk, then we shall have a closer inspection and we'll have a little chat about them. How does that sound? That was quite cool. I was surprised, in fact. I don't know why I've missed them over the last few years. How ridiculous. Obviously, I haven't been very observant. Now, Abija, who's only 10 years old, who I'm loving all the young viewers today, thank you for your question. You've asked, why do leopards have spots? Well, Abija, funny enough, we actually call the markings that are on leopards rosettes. So it's not quite a solid black spot. You can see she's got solid black spots around her head, and then also they go down to her paws and on her tail. But in the middle of her body, she's got a rosette. So it's black on the outside with a sort of tawny tan color in the middle. Cheetahs have just got big black spots covering their body. But for both of those cats, it's very, very important for camouflage. So it actually helps hide them away. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but I might, hang on, you know what I'm going to do for you? I think I have a photo on here, wipe the screen, of Hosanna, who was walking through the grass. So shall we have a look if we can find that? Because that would be really nice to actually show you now how camouflaged a cat can really be. I'm almost here. Okay, are you ready? Look at that. Sorry, Darby needs to level it. I'm leveling. That was my leveling there, everyone, not the quickest, Darby. How crazy is that? Hey? You can see his head. Yes, it's just poking up, but where's the rest of his body? Let's see if there's any more. No, I'm scared to show you because the rest are probably all very exposed, overexposed. Yeah, I was right about that. Oh, here's another one. There, that's an even better one. A little bit overexposed, but look at that, completely concealed. So now you can see how effective those spots and those rosettes are for camouflage. And all the different animals out here have got some form of camouflage, whether it's different colors on their bodies, whether it's spots and stripes. See, they also help break up the solid shape of the animal. So it's actually very, very important to have different colors and different patterns. Put that camera down now. But I'm very sad because there is a bit of clouds in the west, which is making it get darker than it should be. Laura, you said, Herbie the hero strikes again, saving me from gastric distress. That could have been a disaster. Who knows what it could have done. That's why I said I want to do a little bit of research to find out what would happen if I were to eat that seed. Would it give me, we call it in South Africa, jippo guts? Well, you can guess. It kind of comes out both ends, which is not very attractive. Don't be wanting that, that's for sure, especially having to go out and do a 3-hour safari. I'd have to do bushwalk because I'd spend most of the time off of the car. Or whether it would just kill me. So it's good not to just eat anything that you don't know. Very important that you, of course, don't do that. Now, seeing as though I almost ate something I wasn't supposed to, I'm just joking, I wasn't going to put it in my mouth, Scott has found something that's a little bit more edible and probably won't give you an upset stomach.
Yes, well, thanks to Herbie. Taylor is forever in debt, and like some of you have said, it would have been a nasty scenario had she have eaten that. Herbie and I were in fits of hysteria when we heard about those updates. Now, like Taylor mentioned, there are some berries and fruits that you can eat out here. These are the fruits of the magic guarri bush, and you'll notice that some of them are still small and green, but others have gone a kind of reddish color. Those are the ones I'm going to pick. Ooh, that was an epic fail. The 3 I picked all went flying onto the ground. Let me get a few more here. And then I'll come up a little bit closer to you guys to where some birds actually did a similar thing to what I'm about to do. And you can actually see all the birds droppings over here with the seeds. There's not too much flesh on them, and I'll show you exactly how much flesh now. There's a little whole berry. You can see the seed is quite big next to it, but there is a delicious layer of sugary fruit around the outside, which I'm about to plonk into my mouth. Very sweet. Oops, that went flying away. They really are so nice. I mean, tiny, you'd have to sit here for a day eating them to get anywhere, but they are really nice. So, I've got some snacks. Don't know how I'm going to get out of here. Some hors d'oeuvres. Do you want me to bring you one, Lou? Sure. Don't know what I'm going to keep them in. Let me actually get a few more. Okay, Louise, excuse me for spitting out the seed there, has requested a few berries to be delivered back to camp. You know what? They'd actually be very nice if they were chilled. So if you ate them chilled, that'd be very, very refreshing. Ooh, Louise suggests frozen guari berry with vanilla ice cream. Good idea, Lou. I think that's going to happen later tonight. And this is a good way for me to spend the last 15 minutes of the safari picking berries for everyone back at camp. Or at least the last 15 minutes of the safari for me, because then it'll be too dark to walk. It's such a rewarding thing, not rewarding, but it's such a wonderful feeling, harvesting things to eat yourself as opposed to buying them cling wrapped from a grocery store. That's why I like to try and grow my own vegetables, but sadly, being a nomadic man of the wilderness, I'm never in one patch for long enough to justify a veggie patch, really. But at the camp we managed up in Kenya, Nikki and myself, we had a whoa, be careful, Senzo. Senzo just did one of his fancy dance moves there. It's a pity I didn't have the camera on him. And another one. So this is the harvest. There's one berry for almost everyone back at camp. Slim pickings, but I'll do my best to get more berries as the days unfold. Okay. Let's just hope we've got enough vanilla ice cream. It's the end of our kind of resupply week. We get our... Oh, no, it's not. Is it Wednesday today? We should have got our resupply today. That's great. We get our resupply weekly. Oh, it's Tuesday. Okay, so yes, our resupply has come today. The kitchen was looking a little bit bleak yesterday because we had eaten everything and we were awaiting the fresh goods to arrive, so there should be plenty of ice cream for us to mix one berry each with. 1 teaspoon of ice cream with 1 little guari berry, and off you go. Now this is something quite interesting over here. It is from this morning, but some of you may have not been on the sunrise safari, and I'm basically kneeling in a puddle, an old dried out puddle, let me come around this side, of buffalo pee. Here are the buffalo tracks, and over here is the track of Hosana, a young male leopard. And what's absolutely phenomenal and fascinating about the sequence of tracks is that he had trailed this herd of buffalo for about a mile from where we last saw him trying to stalk them yesterday morning. He followed them through the night, and we actually got a report from some of the guys on Chitwa Chitwa that it looked like his tracks were still following that same herd of buffalo that then headed north away from Chitwa Dam early this morning. Ooh, excuse me. These berries are giving me the hiccups. Good stuff. We are going to continue bimbling about over here. We're not too far from our vehicle, but we're going to see what else we can find you while there's still some light and send you across to Taylor, who sadly has to leave Tundi shortly.
We are going to leave her soon, and the reason why we've decided, instead of sitting with her, to move away is because if that cub does come through, we've basically lost the sun now, and it's going to get dark very, very quickly because there's a thick, thick cloud cover over the Drakensberg Mountains and down through the west. So we're not allowed to look at her after dark, as you can imagine. She's still very, very young. Tandy's also got a kill down on the ground. So it's kind of just a recipe for disaster. So we'd rather just let them be on their own, be quiet, and not attract any animals into this area at all. But it's been lots of fun, and hopefully Tandy does manage to hoist that kill just a little bit off the ground, so that if some pesky hyenas do come through, they don't steal her kill. And the good news is that other female leopard that was moving around, it sounded like it moved, I think, north. So not coming down in this direction. So that's good news for Tundi. She hopefully won't have too much trouble on her hands tonight. And I hope that that little cub comes back, wherever it is. Maybe it's gone off, made friends with the squirrels. Probably not. Probably trying to chase the squirrels. The Tundi will eventually get up and go looking for it if the little one does not respond to her very calm call. Can you imagine, though? You know what it's like for any of you who used to play out and go riding your bikes with your friends. I remember that if I didn't come home when my dad called, my goodness, would I get into trouble. If I was 1 minute out after dark, I'd be in a whole bunch of trouble. Come on, girl. I wish that little cub would just come running out so we could at least get a couple of minutes with the last light. But I don't know if all the luck is on my side today. Now, Debbie, you and I are on the same page today. I said it earlier. I said I think she is. She's just calling a little bit to make herself feel better about herself, that she tried to call the cub. But you've also said that she's just enjoying a bit of quiet digesting. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. I don't blame her. I really, really don't blame her. Just wondering where it's going to come from. Like I said, she didn't keep looking in a certain direction. She's sort of scanning around at the moment. Now, the fading light is not only going to affect us, but is of course going to affect the drone that's up in the sky. And that's with Steve and Sebastian. So let's go and see what that sunset looks like.
Thank you very much, Taylor. There you can see our vehicle at Buffelshoek Dam, a big muddy pond. We are 100 meters in the sky. It's about 300 feet. And the setting sun is racing towards the horizon, and we have the benefit of the drone, and it is a marvelous view. But yet, if we happen to cut from the drone to the vehicle camera, you will see how the dam in itself is marvelous. Isn't that spectacular? So that is breathtaking indeed, Lou. So even with all the technology you want in the world, there's nothing quite like the reflection of trees off of water. The hippos are in the dam doing their thing, looking at us quite enviously. I don't know why I said the word enviously, but looking at us, they would probably like to come out soon. The drone is up in the air, not bothering anybody, but we're going to make it land soon because the batteries are going to die. But the marvelous shot that we have of Buffelshoek Dam in this fading light. So if we can jump back into the view of the drone, please, Lou. My favourite part of the reserve, Justin, so far, a very good question. Always like going to the dams. Dams are always quite special. Sorry, there's a bit of picture break up there. Dams are always special. I don't have a favourite part yet. The reserve itself is quite uniform. You know, there's very small differences in it. There's different tree types around the place, but it's quite flat. There's no real rocky outcrops or anything like that. I always enjoy a nice vantage point on a little koppie, a little rocky outcrop, which we don't have any in the area. So it's difficult to get nice and high up and to see beautiful sunsets like the one we are framing right now. But always spending time with the sunset at a dam is something special. I think it's the animals, really, that do it for me in and around, and the wonderful plant species that we find moving through the wilderness. That is the reason for being here, and I suppose the smells and the sounds are what echo and reverberate through my soul each day. But in general, I enjoy being all over the place here. There isn't one particular spot that I've yet found to be my favorite, if that answers your question. Beautiful lighting on that hippo. So we're going to land Maurice. He needs a little bit of a a recharge on the battery front. Not sure if we're going to get him up in the air again, but we are going to go over to Scott Dyson, who is not on bushwalk anymore. He is driving.
Yes, we decided just to slowly start heading back to camp and see if we don't get lucky finding anything on the vehicle. I'm sure it must have been absolutely beautiful across with Steve, and yeah, it's maybe a little bit late to get the drone up again. I'm sure you got the most beautiful session possible. The light is only going to subside now. What a wonderful afternoon it's been. Now, I forgot to mention that these guari berries are an aphrodisiac. So, thankfully I only had 3. Not sure how powerful they are. But I'll keep you guys posted. Yeah. Interesting stuff. What I find interesting is that, aphrodisiacs around the world, I think a lot of it is the placebo effect, because the guys up in Kenya, all the local guys up in Kenya, when they saw macadamia nuts, whoo-wee, they wanted to get a handful of those, all the local Maasai guys. That for them is the ticket to good baby making. Whereas and happy wives, as Louise says. But I haven't noticed that, and I eat macadamia nuts all the time. So maybe the guari berries are a similar thing. Time will tell. Actually, I haven't really eaten many of them before, not that I can remember. So quite happy that I had a nibble on them this afternoon. Here's the stash over here for the rest of the crew. Torn, you'd like to know if the guides ever walk in the dark? Sheesh, maybe if they had too many guari berries, they may go for a long walk in the dark looking for somebody with which they can do their business with. But it's not a good idea to walk around after dark. It's very, very dangerous to do so. Having said that, though, if push comes to shove and we were to break down and needed to cover some distance after dark, if we walked clapping our hands, singing a song, banging on some pots or anything loud, all the animals are going to head out of that area. They're not going to want to stick around to see what on earth is going on. And of course, a flashlight also really does help greatly with protecting you. You wouldn't want to keep quiet like you would on a bushwalk, because then you can startle animals. And I think the predators are more likely to possibly snack on you after dark than they would be during the day, because they're going to feel comfortable with the fact that if you haven't seen them, they're going to possibly see you as a meal. So yeah, walking after dark is not advisable. On 1 or 2 occasions, though, we've done it here, head out a little bit early, use a flashlight. I remember once heading out at 3 in the morning to trail Shadow. We knew that she was about to finish a duiker kill. We had a TV show the following morning. I was still a rookie back then, so I was just a donkey running around camp helping out where I could. And I wasn't a presenter for those TV shows or a guide for those TV shows. So I headed out at 3 in the morning with 2 trackers to the last position where Shadow had a kill. We knew that she would have finished the remains of that duiker in the course of the night, so we wanted to get onto her trail and follow her so that when the TV show started at, I think it was 6 a.m., we would have a good idea where she was. And it paid off incredibly well, because 2 minutes into the TV show, we found her on an impala kill, and Peter got to her, one of the old presenters, while that impala was still kicking live on TV. So that was one example of me walking around after dark, literally following her every footprint with a flashlight. It was very exciting, but it's kind of special circumstances call for special measures. Okay, well, enough reminiscing from me. Let's send you across to Taylor and see if she can find you any wonderful, fresh memories. That doesn't make sense.
if I can find wonderful fresh memories or guarri berries. I'm not sure which one it was now. Well, we've left Sandy and we mobile down Cheetah Cut Line towards Gowrie, Main. And we're hoping to find either Hosanna, who apparently disappeared into Torchwood, which is that way, and then Tingana was seen at this pan in front of us last night. I don't know where he went from there, and I haven't heard any more reports about it. So I thought I'd just come and try my luck. Why not? And I don't know where Tumba is or where he's been hiding about. I'd love to see him. I can't wait to see young Tumba. I'd love to see how much he's grown and if he's anywhere near the size of Hosanna yet. Although I think Tumba's about 6 months younger. We still have a bit of growing to do. Just check here that there's no fresh tracks, because this is the time, of course, that the cats like to start moving. Do you know what, David? Do you know what I'm thinking? So last night when we were leaving Chitwa, we came through and we stopped at the pan and I said, why is that warthog out of its burrow? I said this to David. You didn't know this though because we weren't live. And there was a big pig standing right outside his burrow, but it was really dark already, and I thought that's a little bit unusual. And I'm wondering if it wasn't because of Tingana now. Maybe he was moving through that area and we just maybe missed him. I don't know. But now that I think about it, I'm kind of convinced that he must have chased that warthog out somewhere and we were just at the wrong place at the wrong time and missed him by a matter of seconds. So I think that's what happened there. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's been bothering me the whole time. Couldn't work out why that pig was out so late. So we'll go down here. I think we might actually do the length a little bit further down Gowrie Main. Perhaps we'll go down towards, don't know what road, maybe all the way to Triple M. Have a little scratch around here, see if anybody is crossing into the property. I don't know who else is on Juma at the moment. Well, I don't think Tingana is there. I think he might be in Chitwa, perhaps hiding behind the dam wall, which he likes to do. Now, as the sun goes down, we're getting to this crepuscular period now, which is normally when the nocturnal creatures start to come out. And Justin, you were wondering if we ever see any aardwolf, which is also a nocturnal creature. I've never seen an aardwolf in the Sabi Sands, and I've been here since 2015, not at Wild Earth, but down in the south. And David, you've been at Wild Earth for a little bit longer than me. Have you ever seen an aardwolf? Not one. I haven't even seen an aardwolf track, to be honest. So they might be around, maybe, maybe not. You know where we did see them, though, is we saw them in the Mara, which was quite cool. That was quite nice. That was really nice. David and I had an amazing sighting. This one came running out and it stopped on the road and then actually posed for us. So we got some really cool footage. We were even able to reposition the car. We must have spent about a minute, 2 minutes with it before it slunk off into the grass, and I hadn't seen one of those again. Well, the last time I'd seen it was probably down in the Eastern Cape, so I left there in like 2014 or so, and that was a very long time ago. So that would have been the last time that I would have seen one. There were lots and lots and lots of them around there. And I haven't seen an aardvark for a very long time either. I didn't get to see an aardvark in the Mara. Can you believe it? And I think Brain snatched up all the aardvark sightings. What else does it? Saw striped polecat though, which was epic because I didn't think I was ever in my life going to see a striped polecat. That was a serious surprise. An SS. Serious surprise. I like that. What else are we going to see here? I always get excited when I come to this area because I think that I'm perhaps going to bump into a leopard. I've seen Hosanna here many times. Maybe someone's going to come out for a drink. Waterbuck. I think these are the waterbuck that we saw earlier when we were doing the school drive. There were a couple of them. We just couldn't see them. What are those at the watering hole? Well, there's teals. I've got my binoculars out now. Or are they comb? No, what are they? Are they maybe red-billed teals? Lou's telling me she doesn't know. Don't worry, Lou. I don't expect you to know the answer to that. But it could be female comb-billed ducks as well. Let me just have a quick squiz at my bird app. Managed to reinstall the bird app, everybody. Finally, it only took me about 10 goes. I'm very technologically disadvantaged. We're going to go to ducks first. Let's do the knob-bill, comb-bill ducks. Where are you? There you are. I think it is the female. Let me find a picture of a girl. Here we go. Have a look here. What's everybody thinking? While you look, I'm going to look with my binoculars. Multitasking. This is quite far away. Very speckled on the breast, very dark wings. David, are you convinced? Shall we have a look at a red-billed teal anyways? I don't think, no, it is definitely female knob-billed duck, so I'll just quickly do this. We'll go out there, and we need to go down to T for Taylor, or for teal. And then, oh, I could have just swiped left. Red-billed teal. Nah. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Those are definitely female knob-bill, comb-bill ducks. Nice! So, not the red-billed teal, but it was dark. So I wasn't sure. And I also think they look a little bit taller than the teals too. They might be slightly larger. So quite a nice surprise. Thank you, little birdies. We shall carry on. Please feel free to hang around in the morning. Why can't I say morning correctly? So that we can have a look at you in the nice light. I think it's white little speckles on them. Oh, I need lights. Why does it feel so dark? Okay, we'll put those ones on. And I think it's time for a spotlight. I just need to find it under my coats. Right. Guess what we're going to be looking for now? Because I have yet to see a chameleon since I've been back in the sands. Who knows? Maybe I'll break out in a song. Just checking behind me to see if there's any vehicles coming. So I'm going to keep my eyes fixated on the edge of branches and in between leaves to look for the camouflaged chameleons. Steve, however, beat me to it. He had his spotlight out long before I did.
Yes, we did. We had a bit of time, Taylor, to get prepared. While you were enjoying your leopard sighting, we packed away Maurice and we got the infrared working. And we are now back on our northern boundary for a last-ditched effort to see if the Nkuhuma Pride are going to raise their heads, their sleepy heads from their day of slumber, and reveal themselves to you wonderful people at home. I know I would like to see it. Seb would like to see it. He didn't manage to come out with us last night. He was doing some extracurricular work, doing a time lapse for the stars, so he missed out on some wonderful activity with the lions. But Taylor is looking for chameleon. I'm always looking for a chameleon, but who knows what we might find. There we have a nightjar in the road. No, that was a European roller. Not going to spot on him. He's probably his last meal of the day as he flew down and insect. Looked very similar to the way a nightjar lands in the road. At this time of day, you expect most of the birds to start falling asleep. They've all been singing along to reinforce their pair bonding and their territory status, and now they're all going to slumber because they cannot see at night. They don't have the benefit of infrared or a spotlight. So, wonderful. Any comments on the sunset, folks? I wonder who won it. P2 Watcher wants to know if we've got the African grey goose. I've never heard of an African grey goose. I can look in my bird app, but it's not a bird I'm familiar with. Seb, have you ever heard of that?
Which one, sorry?
African grey goose.
No.
No, I'm not familiar with that, sir. PT Watcher, I'm sorry. Potentially further up in Africa. I mean, hence the name. It's probably an African species, but not something I've seen or heard of in South Africa. It's not something I came across either in Kenya when I was there, or in my stint in Malawi. But, folks, I apologize for my looking around. I am searching with huge bright eyes, looking for any sign of these lions. We're not far away from where they were left, just north of the boundary on this side. And so my attention is on the spotlight and on hopefully finding you a big feline. And as we start to descend into this dip, I'm sure we're going to lose some signal. So before we do so, let's go over to Taylor in our race for the chameleon search.
Ooh, competition on, is it? Hey, Steve? Who's going to find a chameleon first? Oh, sorry, a couple of bumps there. I might have to pull out all the stops tonight and go to the chameleon's favorite spots. Whether they've changed in the last few months, I'm not sure, but we can only give it a bash, can't we? Now, Stephen, earlier, while we were with the school drive and I was with that tiny little elephant calf at the mud wallow, I heard you say something about Maurice, the matrice, the drone. Unacceptable. Unfortunately, Maurice's name has already been used up, and that's, of course, by my elephant, so we can't be having that. Hey, David, none of that. What's happened? You're losing some camera equipment. Ooh. Oh, no, everybody, it seems like a ring of sorts. Oh, no. How cool is that? I'm in a circle. Okay, we're just going to sit here. David's hands in front of the camera, everybody. He's just taken it. What was that? A protector. Can we have a look at it? Here we go, everybody. Here's the protector. Quite nice. You can see this is what rattled loose. So that's what happens when you do have corrugations and things like that. That's why it's important to constantly keep checking the equipment, from all the bolts on the cars to even the bolts on the tires. You don't want to be losing a tire, and it can happen quite easily. So we're constantly checking those things all the time. But yeah, there we go. You just saw something. If any of you weren't convinced that this was live, if it wasn't, we probably would have cut that bit. Hey, David. It's one of those things. So what I was saying, Steve, is no, the drone cannot be called Maurice, because poor Maurice is an elephant, my dear friend, that was given to me for my 21st birthday by the team up in the Mara. Now, I know, Steve, I'm only teasing you. I'm just pulling your leg, of course, so don't stress about that at all. I'm not really having a go at you. If you really want to call the drone Maurice, it'll have to be Maurice the Second. Because, although that actually sounds too fancy, he can't upstage Maurice the elephant. I don't know. Maurice 2.0. Oh, hello, Nightjar. Oh, man, I was going to stop for it, but I only saw it at the last second. It was just right on the edge of the road. But we'll see if we can find another one. That's something I've noticed. The fiery neck nightjar is very colourful. Well, not colour. No, I say there's no purples and blues on it, but the mottling on the feathers is quite nice. Oh, let me not blind the other safari guards. I've just dimmed my lights just to let these guys carry on. There's some happy guests on safari. I'm just going to say hello and thank you very much. Hello. Thanks. Hey, good on you. Oh, long time no see. Yes, you're Chitwa now. Okay, I'll come see you soon. Just bumped into a friend of mine that I have not seen for years. For a very, 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 very long time. Reynard, okay, that's quite cool. Didn't quite realize that he'd started working at Chitwa. Very nice. That was like a weird surprise. Like, you know, when you're walking through the shops, and you know, well, there's more of a chance of bumping into somebody that you know on the shops. But anyways, they actually worked up on a game reserve in northern Limpopo, so a bit further away from me, actually near Mapungubwe. In fact, him and his wife, I think maybe his wife has come down also to run the camp. Maybe she's the new camp manager. Very cool. I didn't even realize that because I've been gone for so long and I'm terrible at trying to keep in contact with people. So I'll have to go and visit them at some point. That's nice. Right, Steve has managed to find signal. Let's go see if he's come up with another creative name to call the drone.
My apologies. I remember being told that the drone was called something, and it's actually matrice is the style, and I thought I was saying that all day, possibly chatting with Taylor yesterday when she showed me her little elephant. That name has stuck in my head, so I am at no way responsible for naming the individual, and I will not take responsibility for naming it, so that is up to James and Seb, I suppose. But I think it was named Marvin in the TV show. I don't think Seb has been listening to me this afternoon when I said Maurice a couple of times. He was just so engrossed in my conversation, he didn't hear the words. But folks, we are approaching the area, and what I would like to do is I'm going to switch off the vehicle. Seb is going to pan into the horizon. Beautiful view. We're going to have a moment of silence, and we are going to listen for any sounds of lions. Looks like Saturn. Little twinkling planet.
Where?
Just to the left of the frame. You've got it right in the middle of the frame now. Is it very... There we go.
That thing.
Look at that, eh? Definitely not twinkling. There's definitely a planet. I would say it's Saturn. Beautiful planets. I think it's Saturn just by the coloration. It's quite orange in color. Venus is a lot brighter, even when it's close to the horizon. Easy to find planets, because planets will often follow, well, they do always follow the same line through the sky as the moon and the sun do. The sun just set below where Saturn is there. Okay, folks, so we're going to continue being very quiet and moving slowly along here and see if we get any sign of these lions. But while we do so, I believe Taylor's got some insects.
We do. We've been seeing lots of moths. We saw some this morning that were mating. Now, I don't think these two are mating because the angle that I'm sitting at is different to where Darby is, and the little moth is actually a little bit further right than the other moth. But from this angle, it does look like they're mating, but they're not. Now, they're not quite white. They're almost cream in color. And I did bring both my butterfly books out with me today and hope to do some butterflies, but of course we didn't see any. We got hopelessly distracted by a beautiful leopard. Can you blame me? And I need to get a moth book, I suppose. I have yet to see or find a moth book, so I will keep my eyes out next time I'm in the big city, see if I can find something on them. But it's quite cool. They're very pretty, in fact. They're lovely. Darby, is there any way that I can put the spotlight on them and we show everybody what they look like in color? We do that. I'd like you to see, because that would help with the ID of these guys. So Darby's just going to go out of infrared now. And I'm going to try not put... There we go. Now you can see. So it's almost like they're the mother of pearl in color. They're beautiful. They've got a lovely sheen to them. Not too feathered antenna from what I can see. Very nice. They're just sitting there, just resting out at the moment, not taking flight just yet. Very cool. Cool. Nice little moths. I must be honest, I did think that they were chameleons when I saw them. We saw them beat around the bush there, that's why I came here. First lady, as I try and reverse out back onto the road, you're wondering when does winter start? Well, not right now, because I'm still sitting in shorts and a t-shirt. It's so warm this evening. What are we in now? March, April, May. Winter should start in June. And June is actually not too bad. It's quite pleasant, in fact. It's just a little bit chillier. And then July is very, very cold. August, it starts to warm up a little bit, but it's particularly windy in August and September. So that's not very pleasant. I'm not looking forward to August and September, even though my birthday's in August. I'll give it a skip if it means that I can get rid of the wind. I don't like the wind at all. So we're in autumn. Oh, no! I'm not quick enough at braking. I keep trying to get the nightjars and they keep flying away from me. We'll get one. Let's see. I think there's another one up in the road ahead. What is that? It also could be a piece of elephant dung, though. Not sure. Actually, it's a little blackbird. Maybe it's a fork-tailed drongo. I'm not really putting the light on it. There we go. I just was showing David. Are you a fork-tailed drongo or are you a southern black flycatcher? It doesn't look like it's got a very curved bill now, does it? And with the fork-tailed drongos, they've got quite a sharp edge on the edge of their bill. And I can't see the tail too well either. And of course, we're not going to see the red eye in infrared sitting on the road. But it's one of them. Maybe a flycatcher. Looks a bit eerie, don't you think? With the eye reflecting back at us. What are you doing down on the ground? You should be perched up in a tree by now. You're not a nightjar or an owl or a thick knee. Get back up on your branch. Maybe it's come down for one last dust bath, or perhaps it saw some flailing insects and thought it might have a midnight snack. Well, the equivalent of a midnight snack for a bird. Louise in Final Control says it looks like the bird version of the Grim Reaper. Let's hope not, because I don't see anybody else in sight except David and I. That's no good, hey David? No, that's no good indeed. Oh, okay, sorry, I understand now. It only reaps birdie souls, quote unquote, says Louise. Let me keep the lights off of it. It is going to fly away, but I don't... Oh, it's flown away. Okay, bye little birdie. Either a, like I said, fork-tailed drongo or a southern black-tit. The chameleon challenge is still on, everybody. I haven't forgotten, I promise. Just got distracted by moths and birds. Sounds about right, if it's me. There's like a hot spot here. There's totally a hot spot here. I've found chameleons in this area so many times. Actually, where those moths were, on that exact same tree. But we're going to keep using our spotlight to try and spot those reptiles. And I'm hoping that I'm going to beat Steve. Let's go. Well, I hope that he hasn't found one yet.
I have not found one yet, Taylor. We have not found anything apart from a spotted thickney and a couple more birds that are daring enough to still be hunting at this time of night. Maybe it's the vehicle lights that drop the insects in the road and the rollers jump down and take their pickings. That seems to be the case. But who knows? Who knows? We haven't seen any birds for the last few minutes. We had one more lilac-breasted roller fall down and a woodland kingfisher take flight, and then I think that is the end of it. But we are looking for chameleons. The lions have not shown themselves at all. We spent a few moments longer there sitting very close to where Tambuti Dam is. Not a peep of them, but that is sometimes to be expected. Might be a little bit too early still for them. Maybe they had something to eat, or maybe they hunted in the day. As I mentioned earlier, the landowner that was looking for them did not manage to find them. So it's possible they might have moved off and hunted at some stage during the day. It is not unknown. Saw some eyes there. There is a duiker. I'm not going to shine on him because they do not enjoy the spotlight, and we just blind them and make them prey. Easy prey. Jocelyn would like to know my favorite animal to track. Well, Jocelyn, there are lots of animals to track, and there's also lots of animals to find. But the hardest animal to track is a leopard, and the easiest is a buffalo. I absolutely love tracking lions. There's just something about tracking a pride of lions, following their hunting techniques or their hunting areas and the carcasses they leave behind, and then eventually finding them. I always give myself an internal high five when I find lions on foot. There's just something quite special about that. Tracking leopards is a serious art form, especially if you intend to find the animal. So I would say definitely my favorite is lions, purely because I've had a lot of success in tracking lions. I haven't had that much success in tracking leopards, but I have found a few in my life, but I think maybe a lot of that was just blind luck. But we do have gentlemen such as Herbie and Rexon nearby that do assist, and they are experts. As you saw this afternoon, it took Herbie the better part of 10 minutes to find Tundi. I'm sure Scott had a lot to do to help with that, but I hope that answers your question. One of the most fun experiences I had was tracking giraffe, in fact. We were in the north of the Kruger, and I demonstrated to the students how the giraffe was feeding. It was moving left and right, going from bush to bush, and you could tell the wind direction, because giraffe like to feed into the wind, or the wind in their faces, because of the tannins and all that sort of chemicals that the trees communicate. So we had the giraffe sort of meandering left and right, left and right. And then I did that for about 10-15 minutes, and I showed the students, look at what this animal's doing. And then we stepped back and we looked at the vegetation. Now, the giraffe was following a very clear sort of depression of knob thorns. To the right of us was a rocky ridge, and to the left was an open sort of floodplain with no trees. So I then said to them, now you can see what the giraffe is doing. Let's catch up, because we'd seen the giraffe the night before. So we were about 9 or 10 hours, I think maybe actually 11 hours behind. And we went to the exact spot where we saw the giraffe, and we managed to track it in about 2 hours using those techniques. And you just went straight along, following the same sort of line with which the giraffe is going to go, but without following the zigzag. And that's something that through experience, when you know an area and you understand the terrain, like Herbie and Rexon know this area so well. They know where the water is, they know where the drainage lines are, and the animals that move around here know that too. They are moving for specific reasons. They're not just ambling through the bush. They know where they want to go. It's normally to and from water, and then back to wherever they're feeding, or den sites, or whatever it might be. So if you know that there's a dam in this direction, and you've got tracks, like we had that elephant earlier, and you've got a dam, you know it's there, and you've got tracks of elephant moving quite quickly directly in the direction of that river or that dam, go straight there, see if you can find tracks there, and then move around from there. And invariably you'll find the animal a lot quicker. If you have to go from step to step following an animal, I tell you, it will take you a very long time to find it, because that is not how you should track. You need to think like the animal, think outside the box. How fast is the animal walking? Is it feeding slowly? For example, when elephants are walking very quickly in a straight line, you know where they're going. They're going to water without a doubt. Buffalo are quite similar. And when elephants leave water, they meander again and feed until they're far enough away and thirsty enough again that they then turn around and come back, or go find another water hole altogether. So that's the case of that giraffe, and I've done it another time, and it was really, really fun when you find the giraffe at the end. Sandra would like to know what the different eye colors is of these animals at night. Now, those bush baby crocodile generally got a red eye. Wildebeest sometimes do as well, and I've also noticed that sometimes hyena do. On moonless nights, hyena have got a red eye, and on moonless nights, most of the antelope species have got sort of a yellowish sort of green eye. And when there's a moon out, most of the antelope species have got sort of this emerald greenish sort of coloration, but their eyes twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. They don't seem to blink. But when you see a cat, for example, a leopard or a lion, they have got the same color eyes as the antelope, but their eyes, you can see them because they're two next to each other, whereas an antelope invariably on the side of the head. And when the lion looks at you, it physically blinks. Physically blinks. A duiker and a steenbok are very difficult to identify because the size of them, their eyes are seemingly quite close together, and quite often you can mistake them for a leopard crouching low in the grass. So that is my experience with these animals. I've spent a lot of time having a look, and it does take practice. It took me a lot of time of spotlighting an animal, and then that's another reason why binoculars are important, because at night you can spotlight an animal from a distance, look with your binoculars, see what it is, and then move in. Last night we spotted the lions with a sort of an orangey, yellow last night. So that's because they had blood all over their face. Okay, so we are going to say goodnight from Seb and myself. We're going to go over to Taylor, who is going to finish off the show, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Sorry if you thought it was going to be Steve ending tonight. Ha ha ha, I've stolen it away from him. We're still looking for chameleons, and I don't understand where they've gone. I'm almost ready to sing a chameleon song. Like, I'm this close to singing a chameleon song. Because I don't understand. Why are they not here? It's warm, and it's warm. It's dark. We should easily be able to spot them. I mean, if I was finding chameleons in the Mara, I mean, then surely I could find them here. Let's check the trees properly. Let's just check. Well, I know that Scott found the little chameleon the other night, and the little chameleons prefer to actually hold on to the grass stems because their little feet, unfortunately, aren't able to hold or wrap around the big branches. So maybe I should check a little bit lower down. Perhaps we'll find a chameleon the size of my pinky, maybe even smaller than that. That would be very nice to see, in fact. Actually, I want to see a small chameleon. I don't want to see a big one. I've had enough of the giant chameleons of the Mara. No, I feel like the pressure is on. I've seen all the leopards, seen lions. I can't have everything, and perhaps I'm going to have to wait a while to eventually find the chameleons. But we'll get there eventually, and yeah, that's just one of those things, I suppose. But I hope that you've enjoyed the safari this evening. It's been quite a bit of fun, sweating. Thank goodness the clouds came over to keep us nice and cold. Tundi was wonderful. Bushwalk was great. Steve, you're always wonderful. Big thank you from all of us, but we'll see you tomorrow morning.